In the vast, labyrinthine waterways of the Amazon basin, where the veil between day and night is often just a subtle shift in the oppressive humidity, a predator of unparalleled design glides through the murky depths. This is a realm governed by stealth and surprise, a place where life and death are decided in a fleeting instant. Here, amidst the tangled roots of ancient trees and the silent currents that carry secrets untold, lurks a creature that embodies the raw, untamed power of nature itself. It moves with a serpentine grace, its elongated body a dark silhouette against the sediment-rich water. It is a killer that needs no fangs, no claws, and no venom to assert its dominance in this fiercely competitive ecosystem. Its weapon is something far more primordial, something both invisible and instantaneous. This silent hunter wields the very essence of a storm. It carries within its specialized anatomy the capacity to unleash a biological thunderbolt, a discharge of electrical energy so potent it can stop a grown caiman in its tracks or paralyze a school of fish in the blink of an eye. The electric eel, is not merely a fish, it is a living power plant, a testament to the astonishing evolutionary paths life can take. Its existence challenges our fundamental understanding of biological capabilities, blurring the line between flesh and physics. In the profound darkness of its aquatic home, where sight is a luxury few can afford, this creature has mastered a force that makes it one of the most formidable and respected inhabitants of the Amazon. The very air in the Amazon seems to crackle with latent energy, a place where sudden downpours can transform the landscape in minutes. The electric eel is the living embodiment of this volatile environment. It is a creature born of darkness and water, yet it commands the power of fire and sky. To witness its hunt is to see a ghostly ballet of life and sudden death. There is no struggle, no prolonged chase. There is only a moment of serene stillness, followed by a violent, unseen convulsion as hundreds of volts course through its unsuspecting victim. The prey is not bitten or torn, it is simply switched off, its nervous system overloaded by a force it cannot possibly comprehend or counter. Tonight, we embark on a journey into the heart of this electrifying mystery. We will peel back the layers of myth and scientific curiosity that surround this incredible animal. We will explore the biological architecture that allows it to generate such lethal power and delve into the strategies it employs to navigate and dominate its lightless world. The story of the electric eel is more than just a tale of a unique predator. It is a narrative about the boundless ingenuity of evolution, a reminder that in the deepest corners of our planet, nature has already perfected technologies that humans are only beginning to understand. Prepare to be shocked as we uncover the secrets of the Amazon's silent thunderbolt. For centuries, the indigenous peoples of the Amazon have shared stories of a powerful water spirit, a creature that could strike down a man without a single touch. These tales, passed down through generations, spoke of a serpentine entity that commanded the lightning, a guardian of the deep rivers that punished those who ventured too far or took too much. This was not merely a monster from folklore, it was a very real and present danger known to every fisherman and hunter who depended on the river for survival. They called it by many names, but the description was always the same, a long dark fish that could numb the limbs, steal the breath, and leave a man unconscious in the water. This was their first-hand account of the electric eel, a creature whose power seemed to defy the laws of the natural world as they knew them. The mystery of the electric eel extended far beyond the Amazon, capturing the imagination of early European explorers and naturalists who brought back sensationalized accounts. These reports were often met with skepticism and disbelief. How could a living creature possibly generate a force akin to the lightning in a storm cloud? If you're enjoying this documentary, please like, subscribe, and share to support more amazing wildlife stories. Comment below with your favorite Amazon animal. For a long time, the electric eel was relegated to the realm of the fantastical, alongside tales of sea serpents and other mythical beasts. Even its name is a source of confusion. Despite its common moniker and snake-like appearance, the electric eel is not a true eel at all. It belongs to a distinct order of fish known as the knife fish. The scientific community was slow to unravel the truth behind this biological anomaly. It took the daring experiments of naturalists like Alexander von Humboldt to begin to quantify its incredible power. Humboldt's dramatic accounts of collecting specimens by driving horses into a pool of eels, watching the animals convulse and collapse from the repeated shocks, brought the creature's formidable capabilities to the forefront of scientific inquiry. These early studies laid the groundwork for understanding that the eel's power was not supernatural, but a product of a sophisticated and highly evolved biological system. It was a living, breathing battery, and its discovery would forever change our perception of what is possible in the animal kingdom. Even today, the electric eel remains a creature of profound awe and respect. It represents a perfect adaptation to a challenging environment. Its story is a powerful lesson in looking beyond initial appearances and questioning our assumptions. The eel that is not an eel, the fish that breathes air, and the animal that wields electricity. As we delve deeper into its life, we separate the fact from the fiction, revealing a truth that is, in many ways, even more astonishing than the myths it inspired. To truly comprehend the electric eel's awesome power, one must look beneath its smooth, scaleless skin and into the very cellular structure of its being. Nearly 4/5 of the eel's elongated body is dedicated to a single extraordinary purpose: the generation of electricity. This is not a minor biological quirk, it is the core of its existence, an anatomical specialization of breathtaking complexity. The eel is equipped with not one but 3 distinct pairs of electric organs: the main organ, the hunter's organ, and the sacs organ. Each is composed of thousands upon thousands of modified muscle cells known as electrocytes, stacked in neat columns like cells in a colossal organic battery. These organs are the engine of the eel's power, the source of its legendary shock. The mechanism behind the shock is a marvel of biological engineering and neural synchronization. Each individual electrocyte is a tiny biological capacitor maintaining a small negative charge on its interior relative to its exterior. On their own, these cells are unremarkable, producing only a fraction of a volt. The true genius of the system lies in the eel's ability to command them all to discharge in perfect unison. Upon a signal from the brain, a nerve impulse travels down the length of the eel's body, triggering the electrocytes to reverse their polarity simultaneously. As thousands of these cells fire in series, their small individual voltages add up, culminating in a massive, high-voltage discharge that erupts from the eel's body in an instant. This incredible system allows the eel to generate stunning levels of power. While many accounts have historically cited voltages around 600 volts, recent discoveries have identified species capable of producing a staggering 860 volts. This is the most powerful electrical discharge of any known animal on Earth, an output that dwarfs the standard household electrical outlet. It is more than enough to stun large prey, deter formidable predators, and deliver a severely painful and potentially lethal jolt to any human unfortunate enough to make contact. The eel's own vital organs, concentrated in the front portion of its body, are cleverly insulated by layers of fat and connective tissue, protecting it from the very power it unleashes. But the eel's electrical prowess is not limited to brute force. The different organs serve different functions, allowing for a nuanced use of its abilities. The sacs organ generates low-voltage pulses, which the eel uses as a form of biological sonar to navigate the murky waters and detect the presence of hidden prey. It is a sensory system built on electricity, painting a picture of the world in electric fields. Once a target is located, the main and hunter's organs are engaged to deliver the high-voltage knockout blow. This sophisticated, multi-purpose system transforms the electric eel from a mere natural curiosity into one of the most highly specialized and effective predators on the planet. Our expedition into the world of the electric eel takes us deep into the Amazon's blackwater rivers, environments where visibility is measured in inches, not feet. These waters, stained the color of dark tea by tannins from decaying leaves, are the perfect theater for a predator that does not rely on sight. Here, the electric eel is king. To understand its life is to embrace the darkness it calls home, and to appreciate the evolutionary pressures that forged such a unique creature. We will follow this animal through the stages of its life, from a vulnerable hatchling to a dominant apex predator, witnessing firsthand the challenges it faces and the incredible adaptations that ensure its survival in this competitive world. The narrative begins at birth, in a hidden nest of foam carefully guarded by a vigilant male. Unlike most fish, young electric eels are obligatory air breathers, a trait they carry into adulthood. They must make perilous journeys to the surface every few minutes to gulp air, exposing them to a host of airborne and aquatic predators. In these early days, survival is a desperate struggle. We will observe how their electric organs develop, seeing the first weak pulses flicker to life, not as a weapon, but as a nascent sixth sense. These initial sparks are the key to perceiving their surroundings, a tool to find food, and, more importantly, to avoid becoming food themselves in the treacherous shallows. As the eel matures, our journey will follow it into the deeper, darker channels of the river, where its true power begins to manifest. We will witness the hunt, a spectacle made visible only through the lens of our specialized high-speed and thermal cameras. We will see the eel emit its low-voltage sensory pulses, mapping the electrical disturbances caused by the faint muscle movements of nearby fish. Then, with stunning speed and precision, we will see the explosive discharge of the high-voltage attack. It is a moment of invisible violence, a flash of energy that leaves its prey instantly paralyzed, ready to be swallowed whole. We will also document its astonishing ability to leap from the water, pressing its body against a threat to deliver a more focused and potent shock. This documentary is more than a simple profile of an animal. It is an immersive exploration of a unique life force. We will combine stunning cinematic footage with cutting-edge scientific visualizations to deconstruct the eel's biology, behavior, and its vital role within the Amazonian ecosystem. We will speak with the scientists on the front lines of research and the indigenous people who have coexisted with this creature for millennia, weaving together a complete tapestry of knowledge and legend. Join us as we shine a light into the darkness and come face to face with the living lightning of the Amazon. The Amazon's dry season gives way to the wet, and as the rains return to flood the forest floor, a subtle but powerful instinct is triggered in the depths. This is the time of creation for the electric eel. The male, driven by an ancient biological imperative, seeks out a quiet, secluded backwater, a shallow pool shielded by the submerged roots of mangrove trees and fallen logs. Here, in the relative calm away from the main river's churning currents, he begins the arduous task of building a nursery. Using his mouth, he gulps air from the surface and releases it into a frothy, buoyant saliva. For hours, sometimes days, he meticulously constructs a floating nest of bubbles, a shimmering cradle that will soon hold the next generation of this electrifying lineage. This nest is more than just a structure. It is a sanctuary, designed to keep the eggs oxygenated and safe from the suffocating oxygen-poor water below. Once the nest is complete, the female is drawn in, and a courtship ritual as old as the river itself unfolds. After she deposits her precious cargo of several thousand eggs into the frothy mass, her role is complete and she departs, leaving the male as the sole guardian of their future offspring. His vigil is relentless. For weeks, he patrols the perimeter of his bubble kingdom with a fierce territorial aggression, driving away any intruder, big or small, that dares to venture too close. He uses his low-voltage electrical field as a constant surveillance system, sensing the approach of rival fish or opportunistic predators. Any that ignore his silent warning are met with a sharp deterrent shock, a clear message that this small patch of the Amazon is fiercely protected by a dedicated father. Inside the translucent eggs, a miracle of development is underway. The tiny embryos, no bigger than a grain of rice, rapidly take shape, their nascent forms twitching with the first signs of life. They are utterly defenseless, completely dependent on the protection of the nest and their vigilant father. The bubble nest provides a crucial advantage in the hypoxic Amazonian waters. It ensures a constant supply of oxygen directly from the air, a resource that is scarce just inches below the surface. This protected, oxygen-rich environment allows the young to develop at an accelerated pace, a critical factor in a world where the window of vulnerability must be as short as possible. The father's tireless guardianship ensures that the vast majority of these eggs will hatch, ready to face the challenges ahead. The moment of hatching is a quiet explosion of life. Hundreds, sometimes thousands of tiny, thread-like eels emerge from their eggs and wriggle within the protective confines of the bubble nest. They are miniature, almost perfect replicas of their parents, yet they are fragile and utterly unequipped for the world that awaits them. For the first few days they remain within the nest, drawing sustenance from their yolk sacs, and instinctively staying close to the surface. Their father remains ever watchful, his protective aura of low-voltage electricity a constant shield around his progeny. This communal nursery is a rare sight of parental care in the often brutal world of fish, a gentle, nurturing start for a creature that will one day become one of the river's most formidable predators. Mere days after hatching, a fundamental and lifelong challenge presents itself to the young electric eels. Despite living in water, they cannot extract enough oxygen from it to survive. They are obligatory air breathers, a remarkable evolutionary trait inherited from ancestors who lived in stagnant, oxygen-depleted swamps millions of years ago. This necessity forces the tiny hatchlings to undertake a perilous journey, one they will repeat every few minutes for the rest of their lives, a trip to the surface to gulp air. For a creature less than an inch long, this vertical dash is a journey fraught with extreme danger. The boundary between water and air, the surface, is a hunting ground for countless predators, a deadly kill zone where the vulnerable are easily picked off. With their yolk sacs depleted, the fry must now navigate this treacherous world. Driven by the primal urge for oxygen, a small eel detaches from the safety of the nest and makes a frantic, wriggling ascent. The journey may only be a few inches, but it feels like miles. Above, kingfishers and other sharp-eyed birds scan the water's surface, ready to pluck any shimmering movement from above. Below, lurking in the shadows, are juvenile piranhas and other predatory fish, their eyes trained upwards for the silhouettes of easy prey. Every trip is a roll of the dice, a gamble for the most essential element of life. The tiny eel breaks the surface for a fraction of a second, takes a precious bubble of air into its highly vascularized mouth, and then dives back towards the relative safety of the riverbed. This constant need for air dictates the rhythm of their early existence. The young eels must remain in the shallows, where the journey to the surface is short and can be accomplished quickly. They instinctively seek cover among submerged leaf litter and tangled aquatic plants, trying to remain invisible between breaths. But hiding is only a temporary solution. The imperative to breathe will always force them out into the open, exposing them to the ever-present threats that patrol their nursery grounds. The mortality rate in these first few weeks is incredibly high. Of the thousands of eels that hatch, only a small fraction will survive this relentless gauntlet of predation. It is a harsh lesson in survival of the fittest, where only the quickest, the luckiest, and the most cautious will live to see another day. The male, still on guard duty, does his best to mitigate these risks. He remains a formidable presence, his protective shocks deterring many of the larger fish that might otherwise feast on his vulnerable offspring. However, he cannot be everywhere at once, and he cannot defend against the swift, diving attacks of avian predators. The young eels are ultimately on their own in their individual struggle for survival. Each successful trip to the surface is a small victory, reinforcing the instinct and building the strength needed for the next. This perilous cycle of breathing and hiding is the first great test of their lives, a crucible that forges the resilience and stealth that will define them as adults. As the young eels grow, a profound internal transformation begins to take place, one that will ultimately define their destiny. Deep within their developing bodies, specialized muscle cells begin a miraculous process of differentiation. They elongate and flatten, losing their ability to contract and instead evolving into electrocytes, the building blocks of the electric organs. This process starts early, and long before the eels are capable of delivering a meaningful shock, the foundation for their future power is being laid. The first of the three organs to develop is the Sax's organ, the eel's sophisticated navigation and detection system. It is not a weapon, but a sensory tool, a way to perceive the world in a language of electricity. The first electrical discharges are infinitesimally weak, mere microvolts that are barely detectable. To the young eel, however, these faint flickers represent the dawn of a new sense, a sixth sense that will allow it to see in the murky darkness. As it swims, it begins to emit these low-voltage pulses, creating a bubble-like electric field around its body. Any object that enters this field, a rock, a plant, or another living creature, distorts the field in a unique way. Specialized receptor pores along the eel's head and body detect these distortions with incredible precision, translating them into a detailed, three-dimensional map of its immediate surroundings. It's a form of biological sonar, but one that uses electricity instead of sound. This nascent ability is a game-changer for the young eel. In the sediment-filled, lightless water of its nursery, vision is almost useless. But with its emerging electric sense, the world comes alive with information. It can now navigate complex environments with confidence, sensing the precise location of every submerged twig and leaf without ever seeing them. More importantly, it can detect the presence of other organisms. The faint electrical signals produced by the muscle contractions of a nearby water beetle or a tiny crustacean are no longer invisible. For the first time, the young eel can pinpoint the location of potential food, a crucial advantage for a growing predator that needs a constant supply of energy to fuel its development. This period marks a critical shift in the young eel's life. It is no longer just a defenseless creature relying on camouflage and luck to survive. It is now equipped with a powerful tool that allows it to actively explore and interpret its environment. The world is no longer a terrifying, unpredictable void, but a landscape of electric shapes and shadows that it can learn to read. This developing sensory system also serves a defensive purpose. The eel can now sense the approach of a larger fish long before it comes into view, giving it precious extra seconds to dart for cover. The first flickers of power from the Sax's organ are the first step towards mastering its dark domain. Life in the Amazonian nursery is a constant negotiation with a world of giants. To a juvenile electric eel, measuring just a few inches in length, nearly every other inhabitant of the river is a potential predator. Schools of hungry tetras, watchful catfish, and the ever-present threat of piranhas patrol these waters relentlessly. For these tiny eels, the primary occupation of each day is simply not to be eaten. They spend their time hiding in the dense vegetation of the riverbank, their dark, slender bodies providing excellent camouflage against the decaying leaf litter on the bottom. Their survival depends on remaining unseen, on mastering the art of stillness, and on using their developing electric sense to detect threats before they materialize. The transition from prey to predator is a gradual but essential one. Fueled by an insatiable appetite, the young eel must begin to hunt. Its first targets are minuscule. It starts with insect larvae, tiny crustaceans, and the eggs of other fish, creatures even smaller and more vulnerable than itself. Using its low-voltage electric sense, it probes the nooks and crannies of its hiding places, detecting the subtle electrical signature of a hidden meal. The first hunts are clumsy affairs, often resulting in misses. The eel is still learning to correlate the information from its electric sense with the precise movements needed to strike and capture its food. It is a period of intense learning where every successful catch provides not only vital nutrients but also a crucial lesson in predatory tactics. As the eel grows, so too does its confidence in the size of its prey. Soon it graduates from insect larvae to tiny minnows and the fry of other fish species. At this stage, its electric shock is still relatively weak, not powerful enough to stun prey outright. Instead, the nascent jolt serves to startle and disorient its target. A small fish, touched by the eel's weak electrical pulse, will often freeze in confusion for just a fraction of a second. This brief moment of paralysis is all the advantage the young eel needs. It seizes the opportunity to lunge forward and swallow its victim whole before it has a chance to recover and flee. This technique is the precursor to the powerful hunting strategy it will employ as an adult. This phase of its life is a delicate balancing act. The young eel is simultaneously a hunter and the hunted. While it is stalking a tiny shrimp among the roots, a larger predator could be stalking it from the shadows. This constant, dual pressure accelerates its development and hones its instincts to a razor's edge. It learns to be patient, to be opportunistic, and to be ruthlessly efficient. Every successful hunt makes it stronger, and every narrow escape from a predator makes it smarter. In this unforgiving world of giants, the juvenile eel is slowly but surely carving out its own place, transforming from a creature that merely survives into one that is beginning to thrive. With every meal, the young eel channels energy into growth, and a significant portion of that energy is dedicated to the development of its most formidable assets, the hunter's organ and the main organ. These are the twin engines of its high-voltage attack, and as the eel increases in size, these organs expand dramatically, occupying more and more of its body length. The number of electrocytes multiplies, and they begin to arrange themselves into the long, orderly columns necessary for generating a powerful discharge. The eel's body is transforming, elongating into the serpentine shape that is perfectly designed to house this living power plant. The weak, sensory sparks of its infancy are now beginning to intensify into something far more significant. This growing power can be measured not just in volts, but in behavior. The young eel starts to experiment with its newfound strength. At first, the shocks are still modest, perhaps only a few dozen volts, but they are now strong enough to have a tangible effect. When threatened by a curious fish, the young eel can now deliver a sharp, unpleasant jolt that serves as a powerful deterrent. The predator, expecting an easy meal, is instead met with a painful and confusing sensation, and will often retreat in haste. This is a pivotal moment in the eel's development. For the first time, it has a defense that is not passive, like hiding, but active and assertive. It is learning that its unique biology can be used to control its interactions with other animals. The development of this power also revolutionizes its hunting technique. It no longer needs to rely solely on startling its prey for a brief moment. A discharge of 30 or 40 volts is now sufficient to completely stun the small fish and amphibians that make up its diet. The hunt becomes far more efficient. The eel can use its low-voltage sense to locate prey hidden in the silt, and then, without even needing to get exceptionally close, it can unleash a targeted electrical burst. The victim is instantly immobilized, its muscles locked by the overwhelming electrical current. The eel can then leisurely approach and consume its paralyzed meal without a struggle, conserving precious energy. This growing current requires an incredible amount of biological control. The eel must learn to modulate its output, to distinguish between the low-voltage pulse of its sensory system and the high-voltage discharge of its attack. This is managed by a sophisticated neural command center in its brain which acts like a switchboard, directing the precise timing and intensity of the electrical signals sent to its organs. As the eel practices, this control becomes second nature. It can flip from sensory mode to attack mode in a fraction of a second. The sparks of its youth are gone, replaced by controlled, purposeful jolts that signal its ascent in the river's hierarchy. Possessing a weapon is one thing, knowing how to wield it effectively is another entirely. As the adolescent eel's voltage continues to climb, it enters a crucial phase of learning and refinement. It begins to instinctively understand the physics of its own power. It discovers through trial and error that it can manipulate the electric field to its advantage. One of its most remarkable discoveries is the doublet discharge. When targeting a particularly fast or elusive fish, the eel will emit two rapid, high-voltage pulses in quick succession. The first pulse causes an involuntary full-body muscle contraction in the prey, momentarily revealing its exact location. The second, more powerful pulse follows milliseconds later to stun it completely. This is not a simple reflex, it is a complex, calculated tactic. The young eel also learns to weaponize its own body shape. It discovers that by curling its long, serpentine form, it can dramatically amplify the intensity of its shock. When it catches a larger, struggling fish, it will often wrap its tail around towards its head, sandwiching the prey between the positive pole, its head, and the negative pole, its tail. This maneuver effectively doubles the voltage passing through the victim's body, ensuring a swift and decisive end to any resistance. This curling behavior is a sophisticated application of electrical principles, concentrating the lines of electric flux directly onto its target. It is a stunning display of innate physical intuition, a lesson in lightning passed down through its genetic code. Furthermore, the eel hones its defensive strategies. While its shock is a powerful deterrent, it learns that it is most effective upon direct contact. This leads to one of the most spectacular behaviors in the animal kingdom. When confronted by a terrestrial or semi-aquatic threat at the water's edge, like a hungry caiman or a wading mammal, the eel will explosively launch itself out of the water. It presses its chin, the source of the positive charge, directly against the predator's body, channeling the full force of its electrical discharge into the threat. This leaping attack is a terrifyingly effective defense mechanism, delivering a high-conductance shock that can send even large predators reeling in pain and confusion, teaching them a memorable lesson about harassing the river's living thunderbolt. Through these repeated experiences, the eel becomes a master of its craft. It learns the precise voltage needed to stun a small tetra versus a larger catfish. It learns how to target its electrical bursts to maximize their effect while minimizing its own energy expenditure, as each high-voltage discharge is metabolically costly. This period of its life is akin to a warrior training in an arsenal, experimenting with different weapons and techniques until it can deploy them with flawless precision and efficiency. The ultimate weapon is now fully operational, and the eel is no longer just another predator in the river. It is becoming an apex force, an animal that inspires fear and respect in all who share its dark, watery domain. The time in the shallow, sun-dappled nursery is drawing to a close. The eel, now a formidable adolescent well over a foot in length, has outgrown its birthplace. The small backwaters no longer offer enough food to sustain its growing appetite, nor do they provide the space its expanding electric sense requires. A deep, primal instinct begins to pull it away from the relative safety of its youth and towards the vast, unknown expanse of the main river channel. The bond with its father and siblings has long since dissolved. From this point forward, the electric eel will walk a solitary path, It is a creature built for an independent existence, relying on its own unique skills to navigate the world. The departure from the nursery is a momentous event. Leaving the familiar territory of tangled roots and shallow waters, the eel ventures into the deep blackwater currents for the first time. This new environment is a world of immense scale and profound darkness. Here the river is wider, deeper, and home to much larger inhabitants. Adult caimans, massive catfish, and river dolphins patrol these channels, creatures that could have easily preyed upon a younger, smaller eel. But now, it is equipped for this challenge. Its body, now more than half comprised of electric organs, carries a charge of several hundred volts. It is no longer an easy target, it is a power to be reckoned with. In the main river, its electric sense becomes more crucial than ever. The darkness is absolute, rendering sight completely obsolete. The eel now relies entirely on the low-voltage pulses of its sax's organ to paint a picture of its new, larger world. It uses this sense to explore the riverbed's topography, to find deep crevices and hollow logs that can serve as its new daytime lair. It also uses it to map the presence of other eels. While they are solitary, they are aware of each other's territories, using their electric fields to maintain a respectful distance, avoiding unnecessary and costly conflicts over resources. The river becomes a silent network of electrical signals, a community of loners communicating their presence in the dark. This transition marks the final step in its journey from a vulnerable hatchling to a self-sufficient predator. It has survived the perilous ascents for air, it has evaded countless predators, and it has mastered the complex art of hunting with lightning. The world is no longer a place of constant fear, but a realm of opportunity. The eel is now fully equipped with the anatomical and behavioral tools to thrive as one of the Amazon's most unique and successful hunters. Its solitary journey into the darkness is not an end, but a beginning. It is the birth of a shocker, a living thunderbolt now unleashed into the heart of the world's greatest river, ready to claim its throne. One of the most persistent and fundamental misconceptions about the electric eel begins with its very name. To the casual observer, its long, serpentine body and fluid, snake-like movements immediately bring to mind the common eels found in rivers and oceans across the world. However, this assumption, though understandable, is biologically incorrect. The electric eel is not a true eel at all. It belongs to a completely different and fascinating order of fish known as the gymnotiforms, more commonly referred to as the neotropical knife fish. This classification places it in a family of creatures renowned for their electrical abilities and unique adaptations to the dark, murky waters of Central and South America. Its closest relatives are not morays or congers, but other knife fish, like the glass knife fish or the ghost knife fish. The distinction is more than just a matter of scientific pedantry, it is crucial to understanding its evolutionary journey. True eels belong to the order Anguilliformes, a lineage that diverged millions of years ago. The electric eel's resemblance to them is a stunning example of convergent evolution, where two unrelated species independently evolve similar body plans to adapt to similar environments or lifestyles. Both true eels and the electric eel developed elongated bodies perfect for navigating tight spaces and burrowing in soft sediment. But the electric eel's lineage took a sharp turn, dedicating its evolution to the mastery of bioelectricity, a path that set it radically apart from its namesakes and propelled it to the apex of its ecosystem. The primary mode of locomotion for the electric eel further reveals its true identity as a knife fish. Unlike true eels, which swim by undulating their entire bodies in an S-shaped motion, the electric eel keeps its body remarkably rigid. It glides through the water with an eerie grace, propelled almost exclusively by the slow, wave-like ripple of its elongated anal fin, which runs along nearly the entire underside of its body. This unique method of swimming is a key adaptation linked to its electrical nature. By keeping its body straight, it maintains a stable and undistorted electrical field, allowing its sensory system to function with maximum precision. It can move forward, backward, and hover with minimal body movement, making it a stealthy and efficient hunter. This reclassification from a simple eel to a highly specialized knife fish fundamentally reframes our perspective. It reveals the electric eel not as an anomaly within one group, but as the most extreme and powerful representative of another. It is the heavyweight champion of a family of electric fish, having taken the latent electrical sense present in its ancestors and weaponized it on an unprecedented scale. Understanding its true place in the Tree of Life is the first step in appreciating the sheer marvel of its anatomy. It is a creature that has been hiding in plain sight, its true identity masked by a familiar shape, a knife-like predator disguised as a common eel. To locate the source of the electric eel's power, we must journey deep inside its body, past the skin and muscle, to the cellular level. Here, we find the core component of its biological weapon system, the electrocyte. These remarkable cells are the heroes of our story, the tiny living batteries that, when combined, produce a legendary force. Each electrocyte is a modified muscle cell, one that has sacrificed its ability to contract in favor of a new, electrifying purpose. Over millions of years of evolution, these cells have flattened into disc-like structures and have become exquisitely designed to create and maintain an electrical potential difference, much like one end of a battery is positive and the other is negative. These electrocytes are not scattered randomly, they are organized with an architect's precision. They are stacked one on top of another in long, parallel columns that can stretch for much of the eel's body length. These columns are then bundled together to form the three distinct electric organs. Imagine thousands upon thousands of tiny batteries like coins stacked neatly into thousands of long rolls. Each individual electrocyte can only generate a tiny voltage, about 0.15 volts, which is less than a tenth of the power of a common AA battery. A single cell is harmless, but the eel's genius lies in its ability to connect these cells in a massive series circuit, a fundamental principle of electricity that humans would not discover for millennia. The magic happens at the cell membrane. Through a constant energy-intensive process, the electrocyte pumps positive ions, primarily sodium and potassium, out of the cell. This creates an imbalance, leaving the inside of the cell with a net negative charge and the outside with a net positive charge. In this resting state, each cell is like a tiny, charged capacitor holding its potential energy in check. The flat, stacked arrangement is critical. The innervated side of the cell, which receives the signal from the brain, is rough and folded, while the opposite side is smooth. This structure ensures that when the signal arrives, the flow of ions happens in a controlled, directional way, allowing the current to pass through the entire column. This intricate cellular architecture is what makes the electric eel a biological marvel. It is not just a fish, it is a masterclass in organic power generation. The sheer number of these cells is staggering. A large eel can have over 6,000 electrocytes stacked in each of its 70 columns per side, amounting to millions of these tiny powerhouses working in concert. The eel's body has evolved to become a living battery of immense capacity, a testament to nature's ability to repurpose existing biological structures for entirely new and extraordinary functions. The humble muscle cell, through the patient hand of evolution, has been transformed into a source of living lightning. Having millions of tiny batteries is useless without a way to discharge them all at the exact same moment. You know, a disorganized trickle of energy would be ineffective for stunning prey or deterring a predator. The electric eel's true genius lies not just in the electrocytes themselves, but in the sophisticated neural system that controls them. This system is a masterpiece of biological engineering, designed for one purpose: perfect synchronization. It ensures that the millions of individual electrocytes fire not as a scattered crowd, but as a disciplined army, unleashing their collective power in a single, devastating volcanic eruption of electricity. The key to this incredible feat is a specialized cluster of neurons located in the eel's hindbrain, which acts as the central command and control center. When the eel decides to strike, this command center issues a single authoritative signal. This nerve impulse does not travel to each electrocyte individually. That would be too slow and would result in a messy, unsynchronized discharge. Instead, the signal travels down a set of remarkably large, fast-conducting spinal neurons. These neurons act like main transmission cables, racing down the length of the eel's body at incredible speed. These main cables then branch off, connecting to every single column of electrocytes. The entire network is designed to minimize travel time differences, ensuring that the command signal arrives at all electrocytes, from those near the head to those at the tip of the tail, at virtually the same instant. Once the signal reaches the electrocyte, it triggers a dramatic chemical event. The nerve ending releases a neurotransmitter, acetylcholine, onto the rough, innervated side of the cell membrane. This chemical key unlocks thousands of ion channels, causing them to fly open. In a flash, The positively charged sodium and potassium ions that were held outside the cell rush back in, instantly reversing the cell's polarity. The inside flips from negative to positive. This sudden reversal of charge creates a flow of current. Because the cells are stacked in series, the current flows from one cell into the next, and the voltage of each cell adds to the one before it, amplifying the power down the entire column. This entire sequence, from the brain's command to the full-scale discharge of millions of cells, occurs in a breathtakingly short span of time, less than 3 milliseconds. It is a near-instantaneous symphony of neural and chemical action, a perfect cascade of events orchestrated for maximum impact. The eel's brain is not just thinking, it is conducting an electrical orchestra of immense power and precision. This ability to achieve such perfect simultaneity across a body that can be over 6 feet long is one of the most remarkable feats in all of neurobiology, transforming the eel from a simple fish into a creature with a weapon that moves at the speed of thought. The raw power of the electric eel is the stuff of legend, but the numbers behind the shock are even more astounding. While for many years the peak voltage was thought to be around 600 volts, recent scientific studies have officially recorded a new species of electric eel, Electrophorus voltae, delivering a staggering discharge of up to 860 volts. This is, by a wide margin, the most powerful bioelectrical discharge of any animal on Earth. To put this into perspective, it is more than 7 times the voltage of a standard American wall socket, and approaches the level of power used to operate heavy industrial machinery. It is a level of voltage that demands both scientific admiration and honestly a healthy dose of respect. This incredible voltage is a product of simple addition on a massive scale. As the neural signal triggers the stacked electrocytes to fire in unison, their individual voltages combine. If a single electrocyte produces 0.15 volts and there are 6,000 cells stacked in a single column, the total voltage for that column can be calculated by multiplying the two numbers. This results in a potential of 900 volts, 0.15 volts per cell times 6,000 cells, a figure remarkably close to the measured 860 volts. This demonstrates that the eel's power is a direct result of adding more cells to the stack, a simple yet profoundly effective evolutionary strategy. The eel's elongated body is the perfect shape to maximize the length and number of these cellular stacks. However, voltage is only one part of the equation. The other crucial component is amperage, or the amount of current. The eel's discharge produces about 1 ampere of current. While this may not sound like a lot compared to household circuits, the combination of high voltage and this level of amperage is what makes the shock so effective and dangerous. The total power, measured in watts, is the voltage multiplied by the amperage. For the electric eel, this can be over 800 watts of instantaneous power, enough to light up a dozen incandescent light bulbs. This is a massive burst of energy, delivered in a pulse lasting only a few milliseconds, designed to overwhelm the nervous system of its target completely. This powerful punch gives the eel an unparalleled advantage. The high voltage is designed to bridge the gap between the eel and its prey through the poorly conducting fresh water, while the amperage delivers the physiological blow. The shock hijacks the victim's own nervous system, causing massive involuntary muscle contractions and overwhelming sensory input. This leads to immediate paralysis and, in smaller prey, cardiac arrest. The 860-volt punch is not just a sting, it is a biological kill switch, a precisely calculated and devastatingly effective weapon forged by the unyielding mathematics of evolution. A fundamental question arises when contemplating the immense power of the electric eel. If it can generate up to 860 volts to stun a caiman, why does it not shock itself into oblivion with every discharge? The answer lies in a clever combination of anatomical arrangement, insulation, and the physics of electricity. The eel has evolved a sophisticated internal protection system that ensures its own vital organs are shielded from the catastrophic power it unleashes. The primary defense is a matter of strategic placement. All of the eel's critical organs, its brain, its heart, its digestive tract, are packed tightly into the frontmost portion of its body, occupying only about 20% of its total length. The remaining 80% of the eel's body is almost entirely devoted to its electric organs. This anatomical layout is no accident. The vital organs are housed in a compact control cabin at the front, while the massive engine room of the electric organs takes up the rest of the chassis. This engine room is where the electricity is generated and discharged. Surrounding the vital organs are protective layers of fatty tissue and specialized connective tissues. These materials have a much higher electrical resistance than the surrounding muscle and water. In essence, the eel has its own internal insulation, which helps to shield the sensitive organs from the main flow of the electric current. Furthermore, the path of least resistance is a key principle at play. When the eel discharges, the electric current flows from the positive pole near its head, exits its body into the surrounding water, and travels through the water to re-enter near the negative pole at its tail. Water, especially the mineral-rich water of the Amazon, is a better conductor of electricity than the eel's own insulated internal tissues. Therefore, the vast majority of the electrical energy bypasses its vital organs by traveling through the water around it. The eel effectively uses the environment as part of its circuit, directing the most powerful part of the shock away from its own core. While these adaptations are highly effective, it is believed that the eel is not completely immune to its own power. It likely feels a small portion of every shock it delivers, a minor tremor from the massive electrical storm it creates. This is evidenced by the way it sometimes thrashes when delivering a particularly powerful high-energy burst. However, its brilliant combination of organ placement, internal insulation, and the clever exploitation of physics ensures that what is a lethal, paralyzing blow for its prey is merely a negligible side effect for the eel itself. It has mastered the art of wielding lightning without getting burned. The high-voltage discharge of the electric eel is its most famous and dramatic ability, but to focus solely on this knockout punch is to miss the subtlety and versatility of its electrical system. The eel's power is not a blunt instrument, it is a sophisticated multi-tool, with different functions tailored for different situations. This versatility is made possible by its three distinct electric organs, each producing a different type of electrical signal. The massive main organ and the slightly smaller hunter's organ are reserved for the high-voltage discharges used in hunting and high-level defense. These are the cannons, brought out only when maximum force is required due to their high energy cost. In contrast, the sax organ is the eel's finesse tool. It produces weak, low-voltage pulses, typically less than 10 volts, at a steady rate of about 25 times per second. This is the eel's sensory system, a form of active electrolocation that it uses constantly as it moves through its dark world. By generating this gentle electric field, it can perceive its surroundings with astonishing detail, detecting the shape of the riverbed, the location of obstacles, and the presence of other living things. This low-power radar is also used for communication. Other eels can detect these pulses, allowing them to recognize the presence, size, and even the mood of another eel, helping them to maintain territory and find mates without resorting to violent conflict. This system provides the eel with an incredible degree of control over its environment. It can use the sax organ to scan for prey hiding in the mud. Once a potential target is detected, it can switch tactics. It might emit a high-frequency doublet from its hunter's organ, a pair of quick, high-voltage pulses designed to make the hidden fish twitch involuntarily, thus confirming its exact location. This electrical interrogation forces the prey to reveal itself. Once the target is pinpointed, the eel unleashes the full, overwhelming power of the main organ to deliver the final paralyzing shock. This sequence demonstrates a clear, calculated strategy, moving from detection to confirmation to attack. This ability to modulate its electrical output makes the electric eel one of the most sophisticated predators in the animal kingdom. It is not just a brute with a powerful shock, it is a tactician. It can be a silent scout, a subtle interrogator, or a devastating attacker, all with the same biological system. The science of its electricity reveals a creature that has done more than just evolve a weapon. It has evolved an entire suite of tools. This multi-purpose power allows it to navigate, communicate, and dominate its environment with an efficiency and elegance that science is only just beginning to fully appreciate. As dusk settles over the Amazon, the rainforest undergoes a profound transformation. The familiar sounds of the day, the chatter of monkeys, the chorus of birds, fade into silence, replaced by the chirps, clicks, and whispers of a new cast of characters. The river, already murky and opaque, descends into an abyss of absolute blackness. This is the realm of the electric eel. Under the cloak of night, it emerges from its daytime lair, a hollow log or a deep crevice in the riverbank, to begin its hunt. In this world devoid of light, the conventional rules of predator and prey are rendered meaningless. Sight, which the sense so many creatures depend upon, is now utterly useless. Here, survival is determined not by what you can see, but by what you can sense. The eel moves with a serene confidence through the impenetrable darkness. Its long dark body is a phantom, gliding silently over the silt-covered riverbed. It does not need to see. Its world is not one of images and shadows but one of electrical fields and disturbances. The night, which brings blindness and uncertainty to so many, brings clarity and advantage to the eel. It is a specialist, an animal perfectly engineered for this nocturnal theater. While other predators struggle to find their victims, the eel swims through a landscape it can perceive with a unique and unerring accuracy. The pitch-black water is not an obstacle. It is its sanctuary, its hunting ground, the source of its power. The river at midnight is a place of ambush and surprise. Hidden beneath the sand, camouflaged among the decaying leaves or hovering motionlessly in the water column, countless fish and crustaceans attempt to wait out the dangerous hours of darkness. They believe their stillness and their camouflage will protect them. They are adapted to fool the eyes of predators like caimans and diving birds. But they are not prepared for a hunter that doesn't use its eyes. The electric eel is searching for a different kind of clue. It is not looking for movement, color, or shape. It is hunting for the faintest, most fundamental sign of life, the weak electrical murmur of a living muscle, the subtle spark of a beating heart. This nocturnal hunt is a silent, invisible ballet. There's no frantic chase, no splashing struggle for survival. The eel is a patient and methodical predator, systematically scanning its territory with an unseen sensory web. It is the ghost in the machine, a silent executioner moving through the dark water with a singular purpose. The river's other inhabitants have no defense against a predator that can find them, paralyze them, and consume them without ever making physical contact until the final moment. In the midnight river, the electric eel is not just a hunter. It is the darkness itself, given form and a lethal electrical intent. The eel's hunt begins not with a search for prey, but with the creation of a world. As it glides through the black water, the sax organ, located in its tail, emits a continuous stream of low-voltage electrical pulses. These pulses, too weak to stun, radiate outwards, enveloping the eel in an invisible three-dimensional bubble of energy. This is its sensory field, a personal radar system that moves with it through the depths. Every object that this field touches, a rock, a sunken branch, a waterlogged leaf, distorts it in a specific and predictable way. The eel doesn't see the rock, it senses the shadow the rock casts within its electric world. It is a form of perception so alien to us it's like imagining a new color. Along the eel's jawline and scattered across its head are hundreds of specialized receptor pores, organs that are exquisitely sensitive to the tiniest fluctuations in this electric field. These receptors work in concert, reading the distorted field like a blind man reads Braille. The information is instantly relayed to the brain, which processes it into a detailed, constantly updating map of the immediate surroundings. This allows the eel to navigate the complex, cluttered river bottom with an effortless grace, avoiding collisions and charting a course through the darkness with a precision that sight could never provide. It is a ghost in the water, aware of every feature of its environment without ever laying eyes on it. This active electrolocation is the first phase of the hunt. The eel is not just looking for obstacles, it is searching for anomalies. The electrical properties of a non-living object like a stone are very different from those of a living creature. A fish, with its skin, muscles, and internal fluids, conducts electricity differently than the surrounding water, creating a unique and unmistakable distortion in the eel's sensory field. When a fish swims into the eel's perception bubble, it is as if a bright light has suddenly been switched on in a dark room. The eel may not know the exact species or color of the fish, but it knows its size, its shape, and its precise location. The prey has no idea it has been discovered. It continues to hover, hidden and still, believing it is safe. It cannot see the eel, and it cannot feel the harmless, low-voltage sensory field that is now enveloping it. The fish's own senses are useless. It is blind to the predator that is now slowly, deliberately closing in. The electric ghost has found its target. The eel has perceived the imperceptible, located the unfindable. The first part of its deadly mission is complete, achieved with a sixth sense that turns the dark, murky water into a crystal-clear window. The eel has detected an anomaly, a fish-shaped distortion in its electric field. But the prey is hiding, nestled in the silt or tucked away in dense vegetation, trying to remain perfectly still. In this situation, the eel needs more information. It needs to confirm that the object is not just a curiously shaped root or a clump of mud, but living, breathing prey. It accomplishes this by listening for the most subtle of electrical clues, the telltale sign of life itself. Every living animal generates its own faint bioelectric field, produced by the constant firing of nerves and the contraction of muscles. For a fish, even one trying to be motionless, the rhythmic beat of its heart and the gentle movement of its gills create a tiny, pulsating electrical signature. To the electric eel's hypersensitive receptors, these minute electrical fluctuations are like a drumbeat in a silent room. While its own active sensory field tells it where the object is, the passive detection of the prey's bioelectric field tells it what it is. The eel can literally sense the heartbeat of its victim. It is the ultimate form of surveillance, a biological wiretap that exposes the presence of any living creature, no matter how well it hides. The prey's own life force becomes its betrayer, broadcasting its location to the one predator in the river that knows how to listen. The eel stops, hovering a short distance away, processing these faint signals and confirming its target. This incredible sensitivity allows the eel to be an incredibly efficient hunter. It wastes no energy pursuing false targets or investigating inanimate objects. It can discriminate between the living and the non-living with absolute certainty. This is crucial in an environment where energy must be conserved. Every high-voltage shock is metabolically expensive, so the eel must be sure of its target before it commits to an attack. By listening for the electrical whispers of life, it ensures that every strike is a calculated and worthwhile investment of its precious energy reserves. The hunter takes its time, confirming the identity of its prey with an almost clinical detachment. The target is now locked. The hiding fish, completely oblivious, continues its desperate attempt at camouflage. Its heart beats, its gills flutter, and with every pulse it gives away its position more clearly. The eel, now armed with the certain knowledge of a living meal close by, prepares for the next phase of its attack. The time for passive sensing is over. The time for active engagement is about to begin. The predator has used its remarkable sensory abilities to strip away every one of the prey's defenses, leaving it exposed and vulnerable in the suffocating darkness of the riverbed. Even with the prey located, a direct, high-voltage attack might not be the most efficient strategy. The fish could be obscured by sediment or positioned at an awkward angle. To ensure a successful strike, the eel employs a brilliantly deceptive tactic, a form of electrical interrogation. It needs to force the hidden prey to reveal its exact position and orientation. To do this, it switches from its low-voltage sensory pulses to a different tool in its arsenal. From its hunter's organ, it unleashes a doublet. Two rapid high-voltage pulses fired in quick succession, just milliseconds apart. These are not powerful enough to kill, but they are more than enough to hijack the prey's nervous system. The first pulse of the doublet travels through the water and strikes the hidden fish. It triggers the fish's motor neurons, the nerves that control its muscles, causing a massive, involuntary full-body contraction. The fish has no control over this. Its own body is betrayed by the eel's electric command. For a fraction of a second, the fish flinches violently, its muscles locking up. This sudden movement is the key. It shakes off any covering sediment, it momentarily breaks its camouflage, and most importantly, it reveals its exact location to the eel's ever-present electric sense. The eel has forced its victim's hand, using a targeted shock to make the prey signal its own position. The second pulse of the doublet, which follows almost instantly, often serves to further stun and disorient the prey, preventing it from making a panicked escape. The entire sequence is a masterstroke of predatory strategy. The eel has used a controlled burst of power not to kill, but to gather intelligence. It is a calculated maneuver that bridges the gap between detection and attack, ensuring that the final, lethal blow will be delivered with pinpoint accuracy. The prey, now twitching and exposed, has had its last defense, its crypsis, stripped away by an invisible force it cannot comprehend. It is now completely at the mercy of the hunter. This sophisticated technique highlights the eel's incredible control over its electric organs. It is not just an animal with an on-off switch for its power. It is a creature capable of delivering a nuanced range of electrical outputs, each with a specific purpose. The doublet deception is a testament to this control. It is a tactic that requires precise timing and power modulation, demonstrating a level of predatory intelligence that is both chilling and awe-inspiring. The eel has not just found its prey, it has manipulated it, forcing it to become an active participant in its own demise. The final act of this dark hunt is now inevitable. With the prey located, identified, and exposed, the moment of truth arrives. The eel's brain sends the final decisive command. In an instant, the full might of its mane and hunter's organs is unleashed. A massive high-voltage electrical pulse, potentially reaching up to 860 volts, erupts from the eel's body. This is not a subtle interrogation. This is a biological sledgehammer. The current explodes outwards, a wave of invisible energy that saturates the water between the eel and its target. For the victim, the effect is instantaneous and catastrophic. The current of death strikes, and its world simply switches off. The massive voltage overwhelms the prey's entire nervous system. Every nerve and every muscle fires at once, causing a single violent convulsion. This is immediately followed by complete paralysis. The fish's brain can no longer send signals to its body. The eel's electrical discharge has created so much noise that the fish's own neural pathways are completely jammed. Its heart may fibrillate or stop altogether. Its breathing ceases. It is not dead in the conventional sense, not yet, but it is completely incapacitated, rendered utterly helpless in a fraction of a second. There is no chase, no struggle, no chance of escape. The fight is over before it has even begun. The eel has executed a perfect remote takedown. It has subdued its meal from a distance without ever having to risk injury from a thrashing, spiny fish. This is the core advantage of its hunting strategy. It is incredibly safe and energy efficient. After delivering the paralyzing blow, the eel can leisurely approach its victim. There is no rush. The prey is not going anywhere. It calmly nudges the paralyzed fish, manipulating it with its mouth until it is oriented correctly, and then swallows it whole, head first. The entire process is methodical, precise, and brutally effective, a testament to millions of years of evolutionary refinement. This ability to stun prey from a distance makes the electric eel one of the most successful predators in the Amazon. It can hunt in total darkness, it can find prey that is perfectly camouflaged, and it can neutralize its victims without a physical struggle. It is a hunting system that is almost flawless in its design and execution. The current of death is the ultimate expression of the eel's power, a force of nature that allows it to dominate its dark aquatic kingdom with an unmatched and shocking efficiency. The silence of the river returns, broken only by the quiet meal of a successful hunter. Sometimes the prey is larger, more resilient, or maybe the initial shock was delivered from a greater distance, leaving the victim stunned, but not fully incapacitated. In these moments, the electric eel reveals another layer of its sophisticated hunting prowess. It will not waste energy on repeated long-distance shocks. Instead, it closes the gap and, employs a tactic that demonstrates a startling, intuitive grasp of physics. It lunges forward, seizing the struggling fish in its mouth, and then performs a remarkable maneuver. It curls its long body, bringing its tail up and around towards its head, effectively wrapping the prey in a deadly electric embrace. This coiling behavior is not a random act of aggression. It is a highly calculated move designed to amplify its power. The eel's head acts as the positive pole of the battery, and its tail acts as the negative pole. By bringing the two poles closer together and sandwiching the prey between them, it dramatically concentrates the electric field. The electrical current, instead of dissipating widely into the surrounding water, is now channeled directly through the victim's body. This maneuver can more than double the effective voltage and amperage that the prey receives. It is the difference between a stun gun and direct electrocution. As the eel holds its prey in this coiling embrace, it can deliver repeated high-voltage pulses directly into the target. Any remaining resistance from the fish is extinguished almost instantly. The intensified shock ensures a swift and final paralysis, shutting down the last vestiges of its nervous system. This technique allows the eel to successfully prey on animals that might otherwise be too large or too strong, including armored catfish and even small caimans. It is a stunning display of how the eel uses its unique anatomy as a dynamic weapon, changing its own shape to maximize its lethal effect. This behavior was a mystery to scientists for many years, but high-speed cameras and voltage meters have revealed the truth. The coiling is a deliberate and incredibly effective tactic. It shows that the eel's hunting strategy is adaptable, with different techniques for different scenarios. It is not a one-trick predator. It is a thinking hunter, capable of assessing a situation and applying the most effective tool in its arsenal. The coiling embrace is the eel's checkmate move, a final, inescapable application of power that guarantees its victory over even the most challenging of prey. The electric eel's mastery of its domain is not confined to the water. The Amazon is a world where the boundary between the aquatic and the terrestrial is constantly blurred, especially during the flood season. The eel has evolved a hunting and defensive strategy that is as shocking as it is spectacular, one that allows it to project its power out of the water and into the world of air. When a land-based animal, a large rodent, a snake, or even a wading bird, threatens its territory, or presents itself as a potential meal at the water's edge, the eel can launch an attack that really defies expectations. It becomes a leaping thunderbolt. With explosive speed, the eel propels itself partially out of the water, rising vertically to make direct contact with the threat. It presses the underside of its chin, which is the primary positive pole of its electric organ, firmly against the body of the land animal. Water streams down its skin, creating a conductive pathway back to the river. In this moment, the eel unleashes a series of rapid, high-voltage shocks. Because the animal is in the air, not the water, the electricity has nowhere else to go. The full, unmitigated force of the discharge is channeled directly into the target's body, delivering a jolt of stunning power. This airborne assault is a terrifyingly effective strategy. For a land animal, the shock is far more potent than it would be in the water, where the current would dissipate. The direct contact ensures maximum energy transfer, causing intense pain, muscle spasms, and disorientation. It is often enough to send a would-be predator scrambling away in confusion and agony, ensuring it will not make the same mistake twice. In the case of smaller prey that has fallen into the water, this leaping attack can be used to stun it against the riverbank before dragging it back into the depths to be consumed. It is an adaptation that extends the eel's hunting ground beyond the water's surface. This behavior, once thought to be a legend described by early explorers like Alexander von Humboldt, has now been scientifically documented and confirmed. It is a stunning example of the eel's adaptability, demonstrating its ability to solve complex environmental challenges with its unique biological toolset. It shows a predator that is not limited by its environment but has learned to weaponize the very boundary between two different worlds. The leaping thunderbolt is a powerful reminder that with the electric eel, you are not even safe on dry land. It is a hunter that can truly reach out and touch you. Once the violent, invisible storm of electricity has passed, a profound stillness settles over the scene. The prey, whether it was paralyzed by a remote strike or subdued by the coiling embrace, now floats lifelessly in the dark water. The hunt is over. For the electric eel, this is the moment of reward, the culmination of its patient search and calculated attack. There is no frenzy, no tearing of flesh as seen with other predators. The eel's method is clean and efficient. Because its victims are swallowed whole, there is no blood in the water to attract scavengers or rivals. The feast is a private, solitary affair, conducted in the quiet shadows of the riverbed. The eel carefully maneuvers the paralyzed fish, using its mouth to orient it for consumption. Almost always, it will swallow its prey head first. This is a practical strategy that ensures any sharp spines or fins on the fish fold backwards, preventing them from getting stuck in the eel's throat as it goes down. The eel's jaws are relatively weak and its teeth are small and conical, not designed for ripping or chewing. Its entire predatory system is built around subduing prey so that it can be swallowed with minimal effort. The meal disappears down its gullet, and the eel's powerful digestive system begins the work of breaking it down. After consuming its meal, the eel will often retreat to its lair to rest and digest. The high-voltage discharges are metabolically expensive, and a large hunt requires a significant expenditure of energy. The eel must now conserve its strength, allowing its body to replenish the chemical gradients in its millions of electrocytes, recharging its living batteries for the next hunt. During this period of rest, it will continue to emit its low-voltage sensory pulses, a constant quiet hum of awareness that keeps it alert to any potential threats or opportunities that might arise in its dark kingdom. The hunter is at rest, but it is never truly off guard. The aftermath of the hunt leaves almost no trace. There are no remains, no struggle, no evidence of the brief, violent event that has just transpired. Life in the river continues around it as if nothing has happened. This is the hallmark of the electric eel's success. It is a ghost, a predator whose work is so swift, silent, and contained that it leaves the ecosystem largely undisturbed. It is a model of efficiency, a perfectly adapted hunter that has mastered its environment through a power that is both invisible and absolute. As the eel digests its meal in the shadows, it is a living testament to the dark, shocking, and ingenious nature of predation in the Amazon. While the electric eel's formidable power is most famously showcased during the hunt, its electrical capabilities are equally, if not more, critical for its survival. In the dense and dangerous ecosystem of the Amazon, every creature is, well, a potential meal for something larger, and the electric eel is no exception, especially in its younger, smaller stages. Its primary defense mechanism is, unsurprisingly, the same tool it uses for predation: a massive electrical discharge. This is not just a weapon for acquiring food, it is a shield, a non-negotiable warning to any predator foolish enough to consider it prey. The shock serves as the ultimate deterrent, a painful and memorable lesson that teaches the river's inhabitants to keep a respectful distance. When a potential threat approaches, such as a large predatory catfish or a river otter, the eel's first response is not to flee, but to stand its ground. Its sensitive electric field detects the intruder's approach long before visual contact is made, giving it ample time to prepare. The eel will often issue a series of low-voltage warning pulses, a clear signal that the approaching animal is encroaching on its personal space. If these subtle warnings are ignored, the eel escalates its response dramatically. It will unleash a volley of high-voltage shocks, not just a single pulse, but a rapid-fire barrage designed to inflict maximum discomfort and confusion upon the aggressor, sending a clear and painful message to back away immediately. The effectiveness of this defense lies in its ability to target the very system that drives the predator, its nervous system. The high-voltage jolt causes intense, involuntary muscle contractions, overwhelming the predator's motor control and inflicting severe pain without necessarily causing permanent physical injury. This is a crucial distinction. The eel's goal is not always to kill the threat, but to educate it. A predator that survives a painful encounter with an electric eel is unlikely to ever try attacking one again. This learned avoidance is a far more effective long-term survival strategy than a simple fight to the death, creating a lasting reputation that protects not just the individual eel, but the species as a whole. This defensive shield is so effective that adult electric eels have very few natural predators. While a young eel might fall victim to a range of hunters, a fully grown 6-foot individual moves through the water with an air of untouchable authority. It is a living fortress protected by an invisible wall of electrical energy. This defense allows it to be a relatively slow-moving creature, conserving energy by not having to engage in high-speed escapes. It does not need to be fast when it has a weapon that can stop a pursuer dead in its tracks. Its survival is not based on evasion, but on the undeniable and unforgettable power of its shocking retaliation. The electric eel's sophisticated control over its bioelectricity extends far beyond the realms of hunting and defense into a more subtle and complex aspect of its life communication. In the perpetual darkness of the Amazon's murky waters, where visual cues are, honestly, non-existent, these solitary creatures have evolved a way to talk to each other using a language of sparks. This communication is primarily facilitated by the sax's organ, the same organ used for low-voltage navigation. By varying the frequency, duration, and rhythm of the weak electrical pulses it emits, an eel can convey a surprising amount of information to any other eels that may be in the vicinity, creating a silent and invisible social network. This electric language is fundamental to their solitary lifestyle, allowing them to maintain their personal territories without constant physical conflict. As an eel moves through its domain, it is constantly broadcasting a signal that says, "I am here." Another eel detecting this signal can gauge the sender's presence and relative size based on the strength of the pulses. This allows them to manage spacing and avoid accidental intrusions, which could otherwise lead to aggressive and energy-wasting confrontations. It is a system of mutual respect, a way for these powerful animals to coexist peacefully in the same stretches of river by announcing their presence and acknowledging the presence of others. During the breeding season, this electrical communication becomes far more intricate and vital. A male eel will alter his electrical discharge, creating a unique signal to attract a mate. A receptive female will respond with her own distinct set of pulses, initiating a complex electrical courtship. The two will engage in a silent dialogue, a back-and-forth exchange of electrical signals that conveys their readiness to spawn and helps synchronize their behavior. This conversation in the dark is essential for successful reproduction, ensuring that the male and female are perfectly aligned in their timing and intent. Before the female deposits her eggs in the nest, the male has carefully prepared. Furthermore, scientists believe that these signals can convey even more nuanced information, such as the eel's mood or state of agitation. A calm, cruising eel might emit a steady, regular pulse, while an eel that has been disturbed or feels threatened might emit a more erratic, high-frequency burst of signals, warning others of potential danger. This language of sparks, though invisible to us, transforms the dark river into a place of rich communication. It is a constant stream of information that allows these solitary hunters to navigate a complex social world, find partners, and avoid conflict, all through the silent, versatile, and elegant medium of electricity. While electric eels are solitary and generally prefer to keep their distance, the Amazon is a competitive environment, and conflicts are sometimes unavoidable. When two eels of similar size and strength vie for the same prime territory, a particularly good hiding spot or a resource-rich feeding ground, a fascinating and dangerous confrontation can unfold. These disputes are not typically resolved with teeth or brute force in the conventional sense. Instead, they become a war of currents, a duel fought with the very weapon that defines them. The confrontation begins as a battle of intimidation, a display of electrical prowess designed to make the rival back down without a physical altercation. The two rivals will face off, often hovering a few feet apart, and begin by sizing each other up using their electric sense. They analyze the strength and frequency of each other's low-voltage navigation pulses, getting a measure of their opponent's power. This is the first stage of the conflict, a silent electric standoff. If neither eel is willing to retreat, the aggression escalates. They will begin to emit more powerful, aggressive electrical signals, short, sharp bursts from their hunter's organs. It's the equivalent of verbal threats, a clear message that they are prepared to engage in a full-blown electric battle if the intruder does not yield the territory. If the intimidation tactics fail, the conflict can become physical, but in a uniquely electric way. The eels may lunge at each other, not to bite, but to deliver high-voltage shocks at close range. They might engage in jaw locking, each trying to push the other back while discharging powerful electrical pulses. During these struggles, they often curl their bodies, attempting to use the amplification technique to deliver a more potent shock to their rival. It becomes a dangerous contest of endurance and power. The winner is often not the one who delivers the single strongest shock, but the one who can withstand the repeated electrical assaults and deliver more punishment than they receive. These territorial battles are incredibly costly in terms of energy and are generally a last resort. An eel that has depleted its energy reserves in a fight is left vulnerable and unable to hunt effectively until it has had time to recover. For this reason, most disputes are settled during the initial intimidation phase. The weaker or less determined eel will typically recognize its disadvantage and retreat to find less contested ground. This ritualized, current-based warfare is a remarkable survival tactic, a way to resolve conflict and establish dominance while minimizing the risk of serious, life-threatening injury that would come from a more conventional physical brawl. In the Amazonian food web, there are very few creatures that can challenge a fully grown electric eel, but one predator is bold enough to occasionally try: the spectacled caiman. These formidable crocodilians are apex predators in their own right, armed with powerful jaws and armored hides. A large caiman might see an eel as a substantial and tempting meal, but attacking one is a gamble with incredibly high stakes. The resulting confrontation is a dramatic clash of titans, pitting the caiman's raw physical power against the eel's invisible, neurological weapon. The outcome of this battle is, honestly, a powerful testament to the eel's defensive capabilities against even the largest of river dwellers. When a caiman launches an attack, it typically tries to snatch the eel with a sudden explosive lunge of its powerful jaws. This, however, brings it into the eel's kill zone. The moment the caiman makes contact, or even just gets close enough for the current to arc, the eel unleashes the full might of its main electric organs. A massive discharge of hundreds of volts surges through the water and directly into the caiman's head and body. The effect is immediate and violent. The caiman's nervous system is instantly hijacked, its muscles lock up, and it loses control of its body, often thrashing wildly in the water in a state of agonizing confusion and pain. The eel does not stop with a single shock. It will deliver repeated, rapid-fire pulses, continuously overloading the caiman's senses and motor functions. The caiman's primary weapons, its crushing jaws, are rendered useless as the muscles that control them are caught in a violent, uncontrollable spasm. The predator quickly becomes the victim, its attack turned into a desperate struggle to escape the agonizing and paralyzing force. In most cases, the caiman, if it is able to regain any semblance of control, will abandon its attack and retreat as quickly as possible, associating the long, dark fish with an experience of extreme pain and powerlessness. This encounter serves as a crucial survival tactic, reinforcing the eel's status as an untouchable resident of the river. While a very large, lucky, or persistent caiman might occasionally succeed, the vast majority of these confrontations end in the caiman's hasty retreat. The memory of such a painful encounter is a powerful deterrent, ensuring that most caimans learn to leave electric eels alone. The eel proves that in the Amazon, survival is not just about size or strength, but about possessing a defense so uniquely effective that it can humble even the river's mightiest armored giants and turn a would-be predator into a chastened survivor. Piranhas, with their razor-sharp teeth and fearsome reputation, are one of the most iconic dangers of the Amazon River. They often hunt in schools, capable of stripping a creature to the bone in minutes. One might assume that a relatively slow-moving fish like the electric eel would be a prime target for a piranha feeding frenzy. However, the reality is quite different. The electric eel has a remarkably effective multi-layered defense system against these notorious predators, a survival tactic that relies on both its unique anatomy and its shocking power. The eel's success against piranhas demonstrates that its defenses are as effective against a swarm of small attackers as they are against a single large one. The eel's first line of defense is its thick, scaleless, and mucus-covered skin. This slimy layer makes it difficult for piranhas to get a solid bite, and it also offers a degree of electrical insulation. More importantly, the eel's vital organs are all concentrated in the front section of its body, while the majority of its length is composed of the tough, muscular electric organs. A piranha that takes a bite out of the eel's tail end is likely to get a mouthful of electricity-generating tissue rather than a vital organ, a painful and unrewarding experience that does not incapacitate the eel in the same way it would a normal fish. The eel's primary defense, however, is its active electric field. When a school of piranhas approaches, the eel doesn't wait to be bitten. It proactively unleashes a continuous, pulsing high-voltage field around its body. This creates an invisible perimeter of pain, a no-go zone that the piranhas are extremely reluctant to cross. Any piranha that ventures too close is immediately zapped, causing it to spasm and retreat. The shock is a powerful deterrent that disrupts the piranha's schooling and attack behavior. Instead of a coordinated frenzy, the attack dissolves into a confused scattering of individuals, each unwilling to brave the painful electric shield. This defensive aura is a perfect countermeasure to the piranha's swarm tactics. The eel doesn't need to target each fish individually. Its area of effect defense handles the entire school at once. It can maintain this protective field for a considerable time, giving it the opportunity to calmly swim away from the threat. This is why, despite sharing the same waters, recorded instances of piranhas successfully preying on healthy, adult electric eels are exceedingly rare. The eel's shocking survival tactic effectively neutralizes one of the river's most feared predators, proving that its electrical power is the ultimate answer to the prickly problem of piranhas. The Amazon is a realm of dramatic environmental shifts, and none is more challenging than the annual dry season. As the rains cease and the vast floodplains recede, the sprawling river system shrinks, leaving behind isolated pools and oxygen-depleted backwaters. For many aquatic creatures, this is a period of immense stress and high mortality. The electric eel, however, possesses a unique set of survival tactics that allow it to not only endure, but often thrive in these harsh conditions. Its ability to breathe air, coupled with its formidable defensive power, transforms these perilous times into a period of opportunity, making it a master of survival in the shrinking pools. The eel's most critical adaptation for the dry season is its status as an obligatory air breather. As the water level drops, the remaining pools become stagnant and severely lacking in dissolved oxygen, a condition that is lethal for most gill-breathing fish. The eel, however, is unaffected. By simply rising to the surface to gulp air, it can survive comfortably in water that would suffocate other species. This single ability gives it an enormous advantage, allowing it to persist in environments from which its competitors and predators have fled or perished. The drying pool becomes its personal, protected kingdom. These isolated pools often trap a high concentration of fish and other aquatic life, turning them into a veritable buffet for the electric eel. With prey animals weakened by low oxygen levels and with nowhere to escape, hunting becomes incredibly easy. The eel can leisurely patrol its small domain, using its electric sense to find hidden, gasping fish and subduing them with minimal effort. The dry season, a time of famine for many, becomes a time of feasting for this highly adapted predator. It can build up significant fat reserves that will sustain it through the leanest times, ensuring it is in peak condition when the rains eventually return. Of course, the shrinking pools also concentrate threats, bringing the eel into close quarters with other tough survivors like caimans. However, in this confined space, the eel's defensive shock is even more effective. With less water to dissipate the current, its electrical discharge becomes more potent, making any attack on it an extremely risky proposition. By combining its air-breathing capability with its unmatched defensive weapon, the electric eel turns the life-threatening challenge of the dry season into a strategic advantage, showcasing its remarkable resilience and its mastery over one of the most extreme environmental cycles on the planet. While the electric discharge is the eel's most celebrated survival tactic, its success is also deeply rooted in a suite of more subtle physical adaptations built for stealth and efficiency. The very shape and movement of its body are finely tuned for life in the dark, cluttered waterways of the Amazon. Its long, cylindrical and highly flexible form allows it to navigate through the most complex underwater environments with ease. It can effortlessly slip through tangled submerged roots, weave between rocks, and burrow into the soft mud of the riverbed, finding hiding places that are completely inaccessible to larger or more rigidly shaped predators and prey alike. The eel's unique mode of propulsion is another key to its stealthy survival. It swims not by undulating its entire body like a snake or a true eel, but by using the gentle, wave-like motion of its elongated anal fin, which runs along the underside of its body. This allows it to glide forward and backward with remarkable precision and minimal disturbance to the water. This stealthy movement is crucial for both hunting and defense. It can approach unsuspecting prey without creating the pressure waves that would alert them to its presence. Similarly, it can slip away from a potential threat without creating a large commotion that might trigger a chase. This rigid body swimming posture is also inextricably linked to its primary survival tool, its electric sense. By keeping its body straight as it moves, the eel maintains a stable and coherent electrical field around itself. If it were to swim by bending its body, the field would constantly warp and distort, making it incredibly difficult to interpret the subtle changes caused by nearby objects or creatures. Its unique swimming style is therefore a critical adaptation that ensures its electrical vision is always clear and accurate, allowing it to perceive its world with the highest possible fidelity, a crucial advantage for navigating and surviving in total darkness. Furthermore, its smooth, scaleless skin reduces drag, and along with a coating of mucus, may offer some protection against parasites and infections, which are rampant in the warm tropical waters. Every aspect of the eel's physical form, from its serpentine shape to its unique fin and smooth skin, is a piece of a larger survival puzzle. These adaptations work in perfect harmony with its electrical abilities, creating a creature that is not just a powerful shocker, but also a master of stealth, maneuverability, and sensory perception. A perfectly engineered survivor for the challenging Amazonian environment. Life in the Amazon is fraught with physical danger, and even for a creature as well defended as the electric eel, injuries are an inevitable part of existence. A close call with a caiman's jaws, a territorial dispute with another eel, or a scrape against a sharp rock can result in significant wounds. To cope with this, the electric eel possesses a remarkable survival tactic that is not aggressive or defensive, but restorative, an incredible capacity for regeneration. This ability to heal from severe physical trauma is a vital component of its long-term survival, allowing it to recover from injuries that would be fatal to many other species. Scientific studies and observations have shown that electric eels can regenerate significant portions of their bodies, particularly in the tail region, which is where the bulk of the electric organs are located. If a piranha manages to take a bite or a predator inflicts a wound, the eel has the cellular machinery to regrow lost tissue, including skin, muscle, and even portions of its complex electric organs. This regenerative ability is crucial, as any damage to its power-generating structures could compromise both its hunting and defensive capabilities. The capacity to repair its primary weapon is a massive evolutionary advantage. This healing process is believed to be aided by the eel's own bioelectricity. Some research suggests that the low-level electrical fields naturally present in living tissues can play a role in guiding cellular repair and regeneration. It is possible that the eel's own powerful and controlled electrical system may contribute to its accelerated healing process, although the exact mechanisms are still a subject of ongoing scientific investigation. This potential link between its electrical nature and its healing ability would represent another fascinating layer of its multi-purpose biological toolkit, where its defining feature also helps to maintain its own physical integrity. This resilience makes the electric eel an incredibly robust survivor. It can bounce back from encounters that would leave other animals permanently disabled or dead. Combined with its formidable defenses, this regenerative power makes the adult eel an almost indestructible force in its environment. It is a creature built not just to dominate, but to endure. Its survival tactics encompass not only the ability to deter threats and communicate effectively, but also the profound biological capacity to mend itself, ensuring that it can continue its shocking reign in the Amazon's dark waters for many years. Long before scientists ventured into the Amazon with voltmeters and high-speed cameras, the electric eel existed as a powerful and respected figure in the rich tapestry of indigenous folklore. For the countless tribes whose lives are intricately woven with the rhythms of the river, this creature was not merely a fish, it was a potent spirit, a physical manifestation of the storm's energy. In their oral traditions, passed down through generations under the thatch of communal huts, the eel was often described as the Arimna, or a similar name meaning the depriver of motion. It was a being that could strike a man down from a distance, stealing his breath and stiffening his limbs without leaving a single mark on his skin, an act that seemed undeniably supernatural. These stories were not born of fantasy, but of hard-won experience. A fisherman casting his net, a hunter wading through the shallows, or a child playing at the water's edge who accidentally came too close to this creature, would experience a terrifying and inexplicable event. They would be thrown back by an unseen force, their muscles locking in a painful spasm, their senses overwhelmed. Without a scientific framework to understand bioelectricity, they logically attributed this power to the spirit world. The eel became a guardian of the deep, a protector of the river's sacred places, and its presence was a clear sign that some areas were simply not meant for human intrusion. The folklore often carried a moral weight, portraying the eel as an agent of justice. In some tales it was said to punish those who were greedy, who overfished or showed disrespect to the river's bounty. It was a balancer of the ecosystem, enforcing a natural law that humans were expected to follow. These legends served as practical survival guides, encoding vital knowledge about the eel's behavior and whereabouts into memorable narratives. Children learned from a young age which murky backwaters to avoid, and to recognize the signs of the river spirit's presence, ensuring their safety and fostering a deep-seated respect for the unseen powers that governed their world. This ancient relationship between humans and the electric eel is one built on a foundation of profound respect born from fear. The eel was a known danger, a tangible threat that shaped daily life and influenced where people fished, traveled, and settled along the riverbanks. It was a creature that commanded authority, its shocking power elevating it from mere animal to a symbol of the wild, untamable energy of the Amazon itself. These encounters, filtered through the lens of myth and legend, represent the first and most enduring chapter in the long and complex history of humanity's relationship with nature's living thunderbolt. For centuries, the electric eel remained a creature of whispered legend and sensationalized travelers' tales in the Western world. It wasn't until the dawn of the 19th century that a figure of immense scientific stature, the Prussian naturalist and explorer Alexander von Humboldt, would seek to replace myth with empirical evidence. In March of 1800, during his epic expedition through South America, Humboldt arrived in the Llanos of Venezuela, determined to study this electrifying enigma firsthand. He had heard the local stories and was driven by an insatiable curiosity to understand the nature and magnitude of the eel's power, a force that seemed to defy the known laws of biology. His quest led him to a murky pool near the village of Rastro de Abaxo, a place known to be teeming with powerful electric eels. However, collecting specimens proved to be a perilous challenge. The locals were deeply fearful of the eels and reluctant to help, knowing the danger of receiving a jolt. Humboldt's initial attempts to catch them with nets and harpoons were met with failure and a few painful long-distance shocks that traveled up the wet ropes. Frustrated but undeterred, he witnessed a local and rather brutal method of collection known as embarbascar con caballos, or to stupefy with horses, a dramatic and cruel spectacle that would become one of the most famous and harrowing accounts in the history of naturalism. At the direction of the local guides, a team of 30 horses and mules were driven into the stagnant pool. The disturbance and the presence of these large bodies immediately provoked the eels. They rose from the muddy bottom, gliding like serpents to press themselves against the horses' bellies and unleash their full, furious power. The scene descended into chaos. The horses, struck by repeated high-voltage shocks, screamed in pain and terror, their eyes wild with fear. Some collapsed, paralyzed by the electrical onslaught and drowned in the muddy water. Others, stumbling and disoriented, tried desperately to flee the pool, only to be driven back by the shouting men on the banks. The battle raged for what felt like an eternity. Humboldt watched with a mix of scientific fascination and horror as the eels, like living batteries, eventually began to exhaust their electrical charge. After a long and violent struggle, the eels were depleted and fatigued, now vulnerable. 5 specimens were collected as they floated near the surface, their power temporarily spent. This brutal, shocking encounter, which cost the lives of several horses, provided Humboldt with the specimens he needed. His subsequent detailed anatomical studies and vivid descriptions brought the electric eel out of the realm of myth and squarely into the world of science, forever changing our understanding of this incredible creature and cementing its reputation as one of nature's most formidable animals. Following Alexander von Humboldt's dramatic accounts, the scientific community in Europe and North America was ignited with a feverish fascination for the electric eel. This was the age of electricity, a time when pioneers like Galvani, Volta, and Faraday were unraveling the fundamental mysteries of this invisible force. The discovery of a living creature that could generate such power was a revelation. The eel was seen as a living Leyden jar, a biological version of the early capacitors used in electrical experiments. It became a subject of intense study, a biological curiosity that sat at the perfect intersection of natural history and the burgeoning field of physics, challenging scientists to understand how life itself could master such a force. Early experiments were both ingenious and daring. Naturalists and physicians, when they could procure live specimens, would form human chains, holding hands while the person at one end touched the eel. The resulting shock, which would jolt through every person in the chain simultaneously, was a dramatic and popular demonstration of the eel's power, proving that its discharge behaved like the electrical fluid produced by man-made machines. Famed scientist Michael Faraday himself conducted extensive experiments on a live eel at the Royal Institution in London, using it to produce sparks, deflect a galvanometer, and even magnetize a steel needle, confirming beyond all doubt that animal electricity was identical to the electricity produced by friction or chemical batteries. This period of intense study was fraught with challenges. Keeping the tropical eels alive far from their native habitat was incredibly difficult, and many specimens did not survive the long sea voyages. The experiments themselves were inherently dangerous, and researchers often received powerful, painful shocks in the pursuit of knowledge. They documented the eel's ability to control the intensity of its discharge, noting the difference between the minor pulses used for navigation and the massive jolts used for defense. These early pioneers were mapping the eel's abilities, laying the foundational knowledge upon which all future research would be built, often at great personal risk. The electric eel's fame spread beyond scientific circles into the public imagination. It became a star attraction in aquariums and public exhibitions, where its ability to light up a row of light bulbs with its discharge would draw gasps of astonishment from the crowd. It was a living marvel, a tangible piece of the exotic and mysterious Amazon that people could witness in action. This early fascination, born from the intersection of exploration, science, and public spectacle, cemented the electric eel's status as one of the most iconic and awe-inspiring creatures on the planet, a living battery that sparked the curiosity of an entire generation. For the local fishermen and river communities of the Amazon basin, the electric eel is not a scientific curiosity or a distant legend. It is a daily reality and a professional hazard. Their relationship with the creature is a complex mixture of fear, avoidance, and a deep, grudging respect. They know firsthand that a chance encounter with a large paraque, as it is commonly known in Brazil, can have severe consequences. A single, powerful jolt can knock a man off his feet in a small canoe, potentially leading to drowning. Repeated shocks can cause respiratory distress or cardiac arrest. For these fishermen, the eel is a foe to be taken seriously, a dangerous variable in an already challenging occupation. Their knowledge of the eel is practical and hard-earned, passed down through generations. They know the types of habitats the eels prefer: slow-moving, murky backwaters with plenty of cover. They learn to read the water, to recognize the subtle signs of an eel's presence, and to know which areas to avoid when casting their nets or setting their lines. This intimate ecological knowledge is a critical survival tool. Fishermen will often tap the side of their boats or poke the riverbed with a long pole before stepping into the water, a simple but effective technique to provoke any nearby eels into revealing their presence with a defensive shock from a safe distance. Accidents, however, still happen. A fisherman wading in the shallows might accidentally step on a resting eel, or an eel might get tangled in a fishing net, turning a routine catch into a perilous situation. The stories are common in riverside communities: a man's arm going numb for hours after trying to untangle a net, or a fisherman being thrown violently back into his boat by an unseen force. These encounters serve as constant, potent reminders of the eel's power. They are cautionary tales that reinforce the unwritten rules of the river, ensuring that a healthy fear of the creature is never lost, as complacency can be dangerous, even fatal. This relationship, however, is not entirely antagonistic. The fishermen understand the eel's place in the ecosystem. They recognize it as a powerful predator that helps maintain the balance of fish populations. There is no widespread effort to eradicate the eels. Instead, the strategy is one of coexistence and avoidance. The eel is a respected danger, a landlord of the murky depths whose territory must be entered with caution. This dynamic between the local people and the electric eel is a perfect example of how humans adapt to live alongside formidable natural forces, carving out a living while respecting the power of the river's most shocking inhabitant. In the 21st century, our quest to understand the electric eel has moved beyond simple observation into the realm of high-tech, immersive science. Modern researchers, armed with advanced equipment and a real desire to study the eel's behavior up close, still face the same fundamental problem as Humboldt: how to get near a creature that can deliver an 860-volt shock without suffering serious injury. The solution is, honestly, a testament to human ingenuity. The development of custom-designed, shock-proof suits that allow scientists to enter the eel's world with a degree of safety that was previously unimaginable, opening up new frontiers in bioelectrical research. These are not standard diving wetsuits. They're specialized pieces of equipment, often built with layers of insulating neoprene and, crucially, a fine mesh of conductive material like carbon fiber woven into the outer layer. This mesh functions as a wearable Faraday cage. When an eel discharges its electricity, the current hits the conductive suit and travels harmlessly around the outside of the mesh to the ground, or in this case into the surrounding water, rather than passing through the scientist's body. This allows a researcher to be in the immediate vicinity of a full-power discharge and feel nothing more than a faint tingle, if anything at all. This technology has, honestly, revolutionized the study of electric eels. Scientists can now conduct experiments and observations that would have been impossible just a few decades ago. They can wade into pools to tag eels with transmitters, take genetic samples, and measure the voltage of their shocks directly at the source. They can use high-speed underwater cameras to film behaviors like the leaping attack and the coiling embrace from incredibly close range, capturing the subtle nuances of these actions for the first time. The shockproof suit removes the barrier of danger, allowing for an unprecedented level of intimacy with one of nature's most hazardous animals. These brave researchers are the new pioneers following in Humboldt's footsteps but with the protection of modern technology. Their work is confirming old legends and revealing entirely new, astonishing behaviors. They are mapping the eel's social structures, deciphering its electric language, and discovering new species within the electrophorus genus. By daring to enter the eel's domain, protected by their conductive armor, these scientists are peeling back the last layers of mystery surrounding this creature, bringing us ever closer to fully understanding the secrets of how it became the undisputed master of electricity in the animal kingdom. The sheer power of the electric eel's discharge has long sparked a tantalizing question in the human mind. Could this biological energy be harnessed for our own use? This idea has been explored in numerous public demonstrations and even in practical applications within the eel's native environment. The most iconic of these demonstrations involves using an eel to power a string of light bulbs, a spectacle that, honestly, never fails to astonish. In controlled aquarium settings, electrodes are placed at either end of the eel's tank. When the eel is provoked into delivering a high-voltage discharge, the current is channeled through the wires, causing a series of connected Christmas lights or even a small LED display to flash brilliantly for a moment. While this makes for a stunning visual, it also serves as a powerful educational tool. It provides a tangible, relatable measure of the eel's incredible output. Seeing a living creature generate enough electricity to visibly light up a man-made object makes the abstract concept of 860 volts immediately real and impressive. It bridges the gap between the natural world and our technological one, showing that nature developed a sophisticated form of power generation long before humans ever conceived of it. This simple experiment has become a staple in aquariums and science centers around the world, a shocking and illuminating display of nature's ingenuity. In a more whimsical and festive application, a Japanese aquarium once famously used an electric eel to power the lights on its Christmas tree. Every time the eel, named Unagi, delivered a jolt, the energy was captured and used to illuminate hundreds of twinkling lights on a nearby tree, creating a unique bio-powered holiday display. This charming publicity stunt captured global attention, further cementing the eel's reputation as a living power plant and highlighting the creative ways in which its natural abilities can be showcased. It was honestly a perfect blend of science, nature, and holiday cheer, all powered by a single fish. Beyond these displays, however, the practical application of using eels as a sustained power source is not feasible. The shocks are intermittent, metabolically costly for the eel, and difficult to capture efficiently. The true value of studying the eel's power lies not in harnessing the animal itself, but in understanding its biological system. Scientists look to the eel's electrocytes as a model for developing new, more efficient, and biocompatible biobatteries or power sources for medical implants. The eel's encounter with human technology is therefore less about it powering our world, and more about it inspiring the future of our own innovations. Beyond the structured world of scientific research and indigenous knowledge, there exists a vast collection of anecdotal evidence from those who have had unexpected and often terrifying encounters with electric eels. These are the stories of tourists, amateur naturalists, soldiers, and casual swimmers who have accidentally stumbled into the path of this formidable creature. These cautionary tales, shared in jungle lodges, online forums, and expedition debriefs, serve as a stark and modern reminder that the Amazon does not distinguish between an expert and a novice. The river's dangers are democratic, and the eel's shock is a powerful equalizer. One common scenario involves tourists on guided tours who, feeling adventurous, decide to take a dip in a seemingly placid tributary. Ignoring the advice of their guides, they might venture into calm, murky shallows, the perfect eel habitat. The resulting encounter is often described as feeling like being hit by a bolt of lightning or grabbing a high-voltage electric fence underwater. The shock is intensely painful, causing immediate muscle seizure and a desperate, panicked scramble back to shore. These individuals are left with a terrifying story and a newfound, deeply personal respect for the warnings about the local wildlife. Even military personnel conducting jungle training exercises are not immune. There are numerous accounts from soldiers on survival courses who, while attempting to cross a river or gather food, have had shocking run-ins with electric eels. A single jolt can be powerful enough to make a soldier drop their rifle and equipment, and multiple shocks can be severely disorienting and debilitating, compromising their mission and their safety. These encounters underscore the fact that no amount of training or physical fitness can prepare you for the sudden, paralyzing power of a high-voltage bioelectric discharge. It is a unique environmental threat that must be respected. These accidental jolts, while rarely fatal for a healthy adult who can get out of the water quickly, are powerful and unforgettable experiences. They are the modern-day echoes of the same encounters that have shaped indigenous folklore for centuries. Each new story adds to the creature's formidable legend, a grassroots collection of evidence that reinforces the scientific data and the fishermen's warnings. They are a potent reminder that when you enter the Amazon's waters, you are entering a world that operates on its own terms, a realm where a silent, gliding shadow can deliver a lesson in humility with the shocking force of a thunderbolt. Our long and often dramatic history of encounters with the electric eel is now entering a new chapter, one defined by a growing understanding of its vital role in the Amazonian ecosystem and the urgent need for its conservation. For centuries, we have viewed the eel through the lens of fear, legend, and scientific curiosity. Now, we are beginning to see it as a crucial indicator species, a barometer for the health of the fragile freshwater habitats it calls home. The future of our relationship with this incredible creature depends on our ability to move from mere fascination to active stewardship, ensuring its survival for generations to come. The primary threats to the electric eel are the same ones facing the entire Amazon basin: deforestation, pollution from illegal mining, agricultural runoff, and the construction of hydroelectric dams. These activities destroy its habitat, alter water chemistry, and disrupt the migratory patterns of its prey. As the eel's environment is degraded, its populations become fragmented and diminished. Conservation efforts are now focused on protecting the vast, interconnected river systems that the eel needs to thrive. By preserving the eel and its habitat, we are, by extension, protecting the immense biodiversity that shares its world. Scientific research continues to be a cornerstone of this conservation effort. The recent discovery of 2 new species of electric eel, including the record-breaking 860-volt Electrophorus voltae, shows just how much we still have to learn. These discoveries highlight the hidden diversity within the Amazon and underscore the importance of continued exploration and study. By understanding the eel's genetic diversity, its precise ecological needs, and its population dynamics, scientists can provide the critical data needed to design effective conservation strategies and advocate for the protection of the most critical habitats. Ultimately, the future of the electric eel is tied to our ability to foster a relationship of coexistence. This means supporting the sustainable practices of local communities, fighting against destructive industrial practices, and promoting a global appreciation for the Amazon as a world treasure. Our encounters with the electric eel have taught us about the power of nature, the ingenuity of evolution, and the limits of our own understanding. The final lesson it has to teach us may be the most important one of all, that the survival of such a shocking and magnificent creature is intrinsically linked to our own willingness to protect the wild places it inhabits. In the timeless expanse of the Amazon, where the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds is thin, the origins of the most powerful creatures are woven into the very fabric of creation. Among the many tribes that line the Great River, there are whispers of a time before time when the world was shaped by colossal spirit gods. One of the most potent of these myths speaks of the birth of the electric eel, not as a product of slow evolution, but as a fragment of the sky god's own fury. The story tells of a great serpent, ancient and wise, that dwelled in the celestial river that flowed through the heavens. This serpent was the keeper of the rains, its scales shimmering with the latent power of the clouds, its movements dictating the gentle showers that nourished the earth below. For an age, the serpent served the sky god faithfully, but a deep jealousy began to fester in its heart. It watched as the jaguar was given teeth of stone, and the eagle was given wings that could touch the sun, while its own power was gentle and life-giving. It craved a mightier force, a weapon that would command fear and respect. In an act of cosmic rebellion, the serpent stole a bolt of lightning from the sky god's personal storm. As it swallowed the jagged spear of pure energy, the lightning coursed through its body, searing its scales and transforming it from a creature of water into a vessel of pure, untamable power. The once gentle serpent had become a being of incandescent rage. Enraged by this betrayal, the sky god cast the corrupted serpent down from the heavens. It fell like a living thunderbolt, crashing into the dark waters of the primordial Amazon. The impact sent shockwaves through the river, and the stolen lightning, now fused with the serpent's very essence, bled into the water around it. The creature, no longer a celestial being, was trapped in a mortal form, its body forever charged with the stolen fire of the gods. It became the first electric eel, a serpent of thunder condemned to roam the earthly depths, forever carrying the memory of its celestial home and the awesome, terrible power that had led to its fall from grace. This creation myth does more than just explain the eel's shocking ability, it imbues the creature with a sense of fallen majesty and divine power. It serves as a profound cautionary tale about hubris, jealousy, and the consequences of stealing power that is not meant for you. For the people of the river, the electric eel is a direct descendant of this celestial drama, a living piece of lightning that fell to earth. Every time they witness its power, they are reminded of the ancient myth, seeing not just a fish, but a fallen god, a serpent of thunder, whose very presence is a link to the creative and destructive forces that shaped their world. Across many Amazonian cultures, the electric eel transcends its role as a mere predator and ascends to the status of a sacred guardian. It is seen as a powerful spirit, placed in the water by the creator gods for a specific and vital purpose: to protect the river's secrets from those who would exploit them. This belief stems from the eel's mysterious and defensive nature. It dwells in the deepest, darkest parts of the river, often near sacred caves, deep pools, or ancient submerged trees, places that are considered portals to the spirit world. Its presence serves as a formidable no trespassing sign, its shocking power forming an invisible, protective barrier around these holy sites, warding off the profane and the unworthy. This myth positions the eel as a gatekeeper of knowledge and power. Shamans and tribal elders speak of the eel as a paje de agua, or water shaman, a being that holds the balance of the aquatic ecosystem. According to these legends, the eel does not shock indiscriminately. It is said to be able to sense the intentions of those who approach. An honest fisherman seeking only enough to feed his family may pass unharmed, but an outsider driven by greed or a desire to plunder the river's resources will be met with the full force of the guardian's wrath. The shock is not just a physical jolt, it is a spiritual judgment, a powerful rebuke from the river itself. These legends are often tied to specific geographic locations. A certain bend in the river, a deep and dark lagoon, or a series of rapids might be known as the home of a particularly large and ancient eel spirit. These areas become hallowed ground, places where fishing is forbidden and travel is undertaken with extreme caution and ritualistic respect. To disrespect the guardian of such a place is to invite misfortune, not just in the form of a physical shock, but also in the form of illness, failed hunts, and bad luck that can plague an entire village. The myth of the guardian eel reinforces a conservationist ethic, ensuring that the most sensitive and sacred parts of the river ecosystem are left undisturbed. This belief in the eel as a river guardian shapes the human geography of the Amazon. It dictates where villages are built, where nets are cast, and which tributaries are considered safe for passage. The eel is a living, breathing boundary marker between the human world and the sacred, untamed heart of the river. Its myth is a powerful force for ecological preservation, a story that transforms a dangerous animal into a revered protector, ensuring that humanity's footprint on the river remains light. The eel's shock is the river's own immune system, and the guardian myth is the story that teaches people how to avoid triggering it. In the moral landscape of Amazonian mythology, the electric eel often plays the role of a righteous enforcer, an agent of natural justice sent to punish human failings. The most common transgression it is said to judge is greed. The Amazon provides all that is needed for survival, but the spirits of the forest and river demand respect and moderation. Legends tell of fishermen who, not content with a modest catch to feed their families, would use poison or explosives to kill fish indiscriminately, taking far more than the river could sustain. In these tales, the great electric eel, the parak, would inevitably appear as an instrument of karmic retribution, its arrival silent and swift. The eel, in these myths, would target the greedy fisherman directly. As the man waded into the water to collect his ill-gotten harvest, the eel would deliver a shock so powerful it would not only paralyze him, but also, as the legends claim, cause the stolen fish to be magically released from his nets. The shock was a punishment tailored to the crime, a force that both chastised the man and restored the balance he had disrupted. The fisherman would be left alive but deeply shamed, his body aching and his spirit humbled, a living testament to the consequences of disrespecting the river's laws. He had taken too much, and the river, through its electric agent, had taken it back. This myth extends beyond just overfishing. It applies to any act of disrespect towards the aquatic realm. Stories are told of men who polluted the streams with waste, or who arrogantly claimed ownership over a stretch of the river, denying others access. Invariably, their hubris would be met by a shocking encounter with the eel, a painful reminder that the river belongs to no single man, but to the community of all living things. The eel becomes a symbol of nature's immune response, a defense mechanism that activates to purge a corrupting influence and restore the system to health. It is the river's antibody targeting the disease of human greed. These myths serve as powerful social controls, reinforcing communal values of sustainability, sharing, and respect for the environment. They are not just stories about a fish, they are fables about how to live rightly within the natural world. By personifying the consequences of greed in the form of a terrifying and powerful creature, the legends create a potent deterrent against selfish behavior. The electric eel becomes the ultimate arbiter of ecological ethics, a silent judge gliding through the depths, ensuring that those who violate the sacred contract between humans and nature receive a swift, shocking, and unforgettable lesson in humility. The electric eel's immense power has granted it a special and often feared place in the shamanic practices and traditional medicine of the Amazon. For a shaman, or page, who mediates between the physical and spiritual worlds, the eel is not just an animal but a potent source of spiritual energy, a power object that must be approached with immense respect and caution. It is believed that the eel's shock contains a raw, primal life force, a concentrated burst of the same energy that animates the universe. To harness this energy, or even to survive an encounter with it, is considered a sign of great spiritual strength. In some rare and secretive rituals, elements of the electric eel were believed to be used to create powerful charms or concoctions. These were not for the faint of heart. A shaman might seek to imbue a ceremonial object with the eel's power by placing it in the water near a known eel habitat, hoping the creature would discharge upon it. It was believed that such an object could then be used to either protect the owner from harm, or in more malevolent practices, to inflict a spiritual shock on an enemy, causing paralysis, illness, or misfortune from a distance. The eel's power in this context becomes a tool that can be wielded for either healing or harming. In the realm of traditional medicine, the eel's properties were explored with extreme care. There are accounts of certain tribes using a highly controlled, minimal exposure to the eel shock as a form of treatment for severe arthritis, rheumatism, or paralysis. The logic, while scientifically unproven, was based on a principle of like cures like, or that a powerful jolt could restart a non-functioning limb. A patient might be brought to the water's edge, and a shaman would carefully coax a small eel to deliver a minor shock to the afflicted area. This was an incredibly risky procedure, a desperate measure for ailments that had no other cure, and its success was likely more placebo than panacea. More commonly, the eel was a symbol in healing rituals rather than a direct participant. Its spine might be used to create a ceremonial rattle, its rhythmic sound meant to drive out sickness, its image might be painted on a patient's body to invoke its resilience and power. The electric eel in shamanism is the embodiment of a double-edged sword. It represents both the power to kill and the power to heal, the sudden jolt of illness and the shocking force needed to expel it. It is a creature of immense spiritual voltage, a being whose mythic power is as potent in the hands of the shaman as its electric power is in the waters of the river. When the first European explorers and missionaries penetrated the dense jungles of the Amazon, they brought with them a worldview shaped by science, scripture, and a firm belief in the predictable laws of nature. The electric eel shattered these certainties. Their encounters with this creature were so profoundly strange and inexplicable that their reports back to Europe were often met with disbelief, dismissed as the feverish exaggerations of men driven mad by the jungle. The explorers, lacking the vocabulary of bioelectricity, struggled to describe what they had experienced, often resorting to metaphors of magic, divine power, or demonic influence to convey the eel's shocking effect. One of the earliest and most evocative names given to the river habitats of the eel was Tupanwai, a term from the Tupi-Guarani language that loosely translates to God's water or water of the Supreme Being. This name reflected the awe and terror the creature inspired. To the explorers, a force that could strike a man down without touching him, that could travel up a wet oar or fishing line, seemed to be a direct manifestation of God's power, or his wrath. They wrote in their journals of a numbing fish that possessed the power of the torpedo, referencing the electric rays of the Mediterranean, but acknowledged that this Amazonian version was infinitely more powerful and terrifying. These early encounters were rife with misunderstanding and peril. Explorers recorded instances of their native guides refusing to enter certain stretches of water, making gestures of being struck by lightning and falling down dead. The Europeans would often scoff at these superstitions only to learn the hard way when a member of their party was violently thrown back after dipping his hands in the water. These experiences created a powerful myth among the explorers themselves, a legend of a demonic fish that guarded the river's treasures, an invisible monster that made the Amazon a truly forbidden, enchanted land. The stories they brought back were a confusing jumble of fact and frightened fiction. They described the eel as a water serpent that could emit lightning from its mouth or kill a horse with its breath. While biologically inaccurate, these descriptions perfectly captured the subjective experience of an encounter. The myth of the electric eel in the Western mind was born from this collision of worlds, the orderly, mechanical universe of European science crashing headfirst into the shocking, inexplicable reality of an Amazonian fish. It became a symbol of the jungle's wild, untamable nature, a creature that defied all known rules and embodied the terrifying magic of a new world. As science began to demystify the electric eel's power, its place in our collective imagination shifted. The creature slowly transformed from a supernatural monster into a natural marvel, a superhero of the animal kingdom. This transition is most evident in modern popular culture, where the electric eel has been reimagined in comic books, video games, and films. It has become a recurring trope, the go-to animal for creating characters or creatures with electrical powers. The eel's real-life abilities are so extraordinary that they require very little exaggeration to become the stuff of science fiction and fantasy. In this new modern mythology, the electric eel is often portrayed as a living weapon. Video game bosses take the form of colossal armored eels that discharge devastating bolts of lightning, their lairs crackling with deadly energy. Comic book villains and heroes gain their powers from a freak accident involving an electric eel, their bodies suddenly able to generate and control electricity. In these narratives, the eel itself is less a character and more a symbol, a living icon of bioelectricity. Its name and image have become shorthand for a very specific and spectacular kind of power, instantly recognizable to a global audience. This transformation has also found its way into the world of branding and marketing. The eel's image is used to sell products that evoke power, speed, and cutting-edge technology. We see it in the names of sports teams, the logos for battery companies, and the branding for high-performance vehicles. The eel becomes a byword for sleek, silent, and powerful efficiency. This co-opting of the eel's identity is a form of modern myth-making, stripping the animal of its biological context and turning it into a free-floating symbol of power that can be attached to almost anything to make it seem more dynamic and exciting. While this modern mythology elevates the eel to the status of a pop culture icon, it also risks sanitizing it. The fearsome river spirit of Amazonian legend, the respected danger of the fisherman, becomes a cool, marketable logo or a predictable video game enemy. However, this new role also serves to keep the creature in the public consciousness, fostering a sense of awe and fascination, albeit a different kind. From a terrifying demon in the water to a living superhero, the electric eel's journey through human storytelling continues to evolve, proving that its power to shock and inspire is as potent in our modern myths as it was in the ancient ones. Even today, myths about the electric eel persist, like the belief it attracts lightning or leaves a lingering electric spirit in those it shocks. These superstitions, though unscientific, reflect the awe and fear inspired by a creature that seems to blur the line between nature and the supernatural. The electric eel stands as a marvel of evolution, hunter, engineer, and ruler of its domain, wielding electricity with unmatched precision. Its mastery of power, both as weapon and shield, cements its place at the top of the Amazon's food chain. The electric eel thrives in two worlds, breathing air while ruling the water, turning a survival challenge into a unique advantage. Its ability to bridge water and air makes it a versatile and formidable predator, perfectly adapted to the Amazon's extremes. The electric eel is nature's original power plant, generating high-voltage electricity with a biological system that inspires modern science. Its efficiency and control remind us that nature often solves problems long before we do. The eel's reign is built on reputation, its shock remembered by all, shaping the behavior of creatures and humans alike. It rules not by force but by the silent power of fear and respect. The electric eel is a solitary monarch, its immense power freeing it from the need for allies or social bonds. Alone, but never out of touch, it is the ultimate individualist, its throne secure, its reign uncontested. The electric eel we see today is not a recent invention of nature. It is the living culmination of an evolutionary journey that began over 100 million years ago. It is an ancient spark, a lineage of fish that branched off and committed itself to a path of bioelectricity while dinosaurs still roamed the earth. The story of the eel is a story of deep time, of the slow, patient, and relentless process of refinement. Every aspect of its being, from the molecular structure of its ion channels to its spectacular leaping behavior, has been sculpted and perfected over countless generations, tested and retested in the unforgiving crucible of the Amazonian ecosystem. The eel's ancestors were likely small, nocturnal fish that developed a weak electric sense to help them navigate and find food in murky waters. This initial adaptation, a simple sixth sense, was the crucial first step. From that humble beginning, evolution began to favor individuals who could produce slightly stronger pulses, perhaps to startle prey or briefly deter a rival. This initiated an evolutionary arms race, a positive feedback loop where greater electrical power led to greater survival and reproductive success, which in turn led to even greater power in the next generation. The path was set, and nature began the long process of turning a sensory tool into a devastating weapon. What we witness in the modern electric eel is the breathtaking result of this long process, a creature that has dedicated nearly its entire body to the generation and control of electricity. It is an evolutionary masterpiece of specialization. It has sacrificed speed, it has weak jaws, and it must constantly return to the surface to breathe, all potential disadvantages that have been rendered irrelevant by the sheer overwhelming effectiveness of its electrical abilities. It is a creature that has pushed a single trait to its absolute biological limit, and in doing so, has created a niche for itself that no other animal can challenge. When we look at an electric eel, we are therefore looking back in time. We are seeing the result of millions of years of accumulated evolutionary wisdom. It is a living fossil in the sense that it carries the ancient spark of its lineage, but it is also a vision of the future, a demonstration of the incredible and unexpected forms that life can take. The eel is a reminder that evolution does not work towards a single perfect form, but explores every possible avenue, including those that seem to defy the very distinction between flesh and energy. It is one of nature's most shocking and successful experiments. To fully appreciate the electric eel's role, we really have to look beyond the individual creature and see it as an integral part of the greater Amazonian ecosystem. In many ways, the eel functions as a keystone species, an animal whose presence has a disproportionately large effect on its environment, especially when you consider how rare it actually is. Its influence, radiates outwards, shaping the behaviors and distributions of a wide range of other species. The network of electric eels with their constant low-voltage broadcasts can be thought of as a kind of nervous system for the river itself, a web of silent communication that helps to regulate the entire community. The eel's impact as a top predator is crucial for maintaining a healthy balance of fish populations. By preying on a variety of species, it prevents any single one from becoming too dominant, which in turn helps to maintain biodiversity. Its preference for hunting in dark, murky, and often deoxygenated waters means it culls fish from environments that other predators just can't easily access. It's a regulator of the river's hidden corners, ensuring that no part of the ecosystem goes unchecked. Its hunting habits are a vital, if unseen, force for stability in the complex food web. Furthermore, the eel's powerful defensive capabilities create what ecologists actually call landscapes of fear. The mere possibility of an eel's presence can alter the foraging patterns of other animals. Caimans might avoid certain pools, large predatory catfish might not enter specific backwaters, and even wading birds might be more cautious at the water's edge. This creates safe havens, or refuges, for smaller fish and invertebrates who can tolerate the eel's presence, allowing them to thrive in areas that would otherwise be just too dangerous. The eel, through fear alone, indirectly protects the very creatures it might also eat, a complex and fascinating ecological dynamic. The health of the electric eel population is, therefore, a powerful indicator of the health of the entire river system. A decline in their numbers could signal problems like pollution or habitat destruction and would have cascading effects throughout the food web. The eel is not just a solitary king on a lonely throne. It is a central node in the intricate network of life in the Amazon. Its shocking power isn't just for its own benefit, but is a force that helps to structure and maintain the stability of one of the most complex and biodiverse environments on our planet. The story of the electric eel is not just a journey into the natural world, it's also a reflection of our own human journey of discovery and innovation. For centuries, this creature has held up a mirror to our own understanding of the world. In the age of myth, its power was a reflection of our belief in spirits and magic. In the age of exploration, it mirrored our fears of the unknown and the monstrous. In the age of scientific enlightenment, it became a reflection of our burgeoning understanding of electricity, a living specimen that helped prove the theories of our greatest thinkers, like Faraday and Volta. Today, the eel reflects our modern technological ambitions. In an era where we seek to create more efficient batteries, more sophisticated sensors, and more advanced neural networks, we find that nature has already perfected these systems in the body of a fish. The eel's electrocytes are a model for biobatteries, its sensory system is a blueprint for underwater detection, and its neural control is an inspiration for artificial intelligence and robotics. It challenges our hubris, reminding us that we are often just rediscovering and attempting to imitate the genius that evolution has already produced. The eel also forces us to confront the ethics of our own power. It is a creature of immense and lethal force, yet it is not a wanton killer. It uses its power with precision and for a purpose: to hunt, to defend, and to communicate. It exists in a state of balance with its environment. This stands in stark contrast to humanity's often reckless and destructive use of technological power. The eel offers a silent lesson in the responsible exercise of power, a reminder that the greatest strength is often shown not in its constant use, but in its controlled application. Our long relationship with this creature tells us as much about ourselves as it does about the eel. It tracks our journey from superstition to science and from fear to inspiration. As we continue to study the electric eel, we are not just unlocking the secrets of a remarkable animal, we are unlocking new possibilities for our own future. It is a living source of knowledge, a biological mirror that reflects our past, challenges our present, and illuminates the path to our future innovations. Despite centuries of study and our ever-advancing technology, the electric eel has not given up all of its secrets. It remains a creature of profound mystery, an enigma wrapped in an electric field. For every question we have answered, new and more complex ones have emerged, ensuring that the eel will continue to fascinate and challenge scientists for decades to come. The dark, murky waters of the Amazon are pretty adept at guarding their secrets, and the king of the river is no exception. There are still vast territories of its life and biology that remain uncharted, leaving us with a tantalizing sense of wonder. One of the greatest remaining mysteries is the full extent of its social life and communication. We know that eels use electrical pulses to talk, but we have only just begun to decipher the rudiments of this language. What is the full vocabulary of their electrical signals? Can they convey complex information about food sources, specific threats, or their own emotional states? How do they recognize individuals? The possibility of a rich, nuanced, and completely alien form of communication happening silently in the depths is a tantalizing frontier for research, one that could actually redefine our understanding of animal intelligence. The precise mechanisms of its incredible regenerative abilities also remain largely unknown. How does the eel manage to regrow damaged portions of its highly complex electric organs? Is its own bioelectricity actively involved in orchestrating the healing process, as some scientists theorize? Unlocking this secret could have revolutionary implications for human medicine, potentially leading to new therapies for nerve damage and spinal cord injuries. The eel may hold within its cells the biological blueprint for a level of regeneration that is currently the stuff of science fiction for humans. Furthermore, the full extent of the eel's biodiversity is still being uncovered. The recent identification of 2 new species, after 250 years of believing there was only one, was a shocking revelation that proved how little we know. How many more species of electric eel are waiting to be discovered in the vast unexplored tributaries of the Amazon? What unique adaptations and power levels might they possess? The river is a library of genetic information, and the story of the electric eel is a book in which we have only read the first few chapters. The enduring enigma of this creature is a powerful call to continue exploring, to keep asking questions, and to protect this living mystery before its secrets are lost forever. As we pull back from the dark waters for the last time, one final, lasting impression of the electric eel remains burned into our minds. It is a creature that embodies the raw, untamed, and utterly astonishing power of the natural world. In a world saturated with man-made wonders, the eel stands as a potent reminder that the greatest marvels on this planet are still the ones forged by life itself. It is a silent hunter, a solitary king, a living battery, and a biological paradox. It is a creature that has harnessed the very fire of the sky and made it its own. A serpent of thunder that glides through the veins of the Earth's greatest forest. The electric eel is more than just a predator. It is proof that nature's imagination is limitless. It is a living testament to the fact that evolution is not just a process of creating predators with sharper teeth or stronger claws, but of inventing entirely new forms of power, of creating weapons that defy our expectations of what is possible for a living being. It challenges our classifications and expands our sense of awe, showing us that in the deepest corners of our world, life has already mastered technologies that we are only just beginning to comprehend. The story of the eel is a journey into the heart of darkness, both literal and metaphorical. It is a journey into a world without light, ruled by a sixth sense we can barely imagine. It is a journey that reveals a power that is invisible, instantaneous, and absolute. The eel reminds us that the world is still full of profound secrets and shocking discoveries, and that some of the most powerful forces on Earth are not the loudest, but the most silent. It is a creature that commands our respect, our fear, and our unending fascination. The storm will always pass, the thunder will fade, and the skies will clear. But deep in the labyrinthine waterways of the Amazon, the lightning never truly leaves. It remains, coiled in the murky depths, a silent and watchful king waiting for the cover of darkness. It is a constant, primal force. A reminder that in the river, the storm is not in the clouds above, but in the water below. The lightning is alive. If you're fascinated by the mysteries of the Amazon, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video for more incredible wildlife stories. Thank you for watching. Support our channel to help us bring you more amazing nature documentaries. Comment below with your favorite Amazon